Hey everyone, welcome to another video of playing Slice and Dice Unfair Mode. Currently, let's see. I skipped a few. I had quite a few runs in between the last video and this one. Uh, had some ups and downs. Got tilted a little bit. But currently we're back on a 2 streak. Had some pretty lucky, nifty runs. Followed by a whole bunch of really unlucky runs that were very, very, very difficult. A couple of like really early losses, a couple losses to like the dragon. But that's just kind of how it goes. And since I am pretty much cursed to always lose on a 2 streak, we'll get a nice, quick early loss. So you guys can see like kind of what a loss and unfair is. I do plan on still kind of a little over explaining, but not necessarily as much as the last video. So let's just hop into it. All right. There's no new changes with curses. Start damage, fewer rerolls, and expensive spells are all just the ones I found to be the far most manageable, even though they're all pretty terrible. So I will pick those, and let's get started. Um, yeah. So with these kind of fights, I usually like to take out the boar first because the boar just does so much damage so early that it's kind of tough to deal with. But at this moment, we can like restore to keep everyone alive, so we can kind of do whatever we want. So I will re-roll here, and yeah, we got a very lucky roll. uh, Results not guaranteed, and I will just still restore here. Bursts are nice, but restore early usually helps you stay alive way better than just getting a clutch burst off every once in a while. So like this turn, I'm gonna keep like suboptimal damage or suboptimal rolls too, just because this burst and these two will kill this boar, which will keep the thief alive and the adept alive, and then the defender can defend themselves. So if you have a good enough roll, you should absolutely just keep it, and it helps to look a lot to determine if you actually have a good enough roll at the very like on your first roll, and it's like a very difficult skill to kind of master. And this one, yeah, now the fight's kind of just over. So finish that up real quick. And the first actual explain. So we have Spellblade and Druid. Spellblade is interesting because they're fancy and cool and like distinct. They're the only orange hero that will give a spell, and they are one of the only, if not the only, orange that generates mana. Their spell is really cool. It's a +1 for damage sides, which synergizes pretty well with their 4 damage sides. But overall, if they are not using this spell and you are rolling, you're likely getting either 1 mana or like 1.5 ish kind of damage. With the middle sides, the left side can do more on like boss fights, so there's definitely good reasons for Spellblade there. But in general, the spell with expensive spells gets way worse. And even then, it's still really only 1 turn of strength, extra strength, uh, applied to themselves instead of mana going elsewhere. So for me, Spellblade's a really tough pick, but they're definitely workable. I've just found a lot of my runs kind of just lose pretty quick if I pick the Spellblade. So the other option is the Druid. The Druid notably doesn't really have a lot of healing. Specifically, they have a good single target heal and cleanse is very important. And the majority of their healing will come from balance, which is basically restore, which I have already said is incredibly good early on. It's one more mana cost, but it basically casts both the acolyte and the adept's spell at once. And the druid themselves has good mana regeneration, and in the fights where mana isn't really like key, you can or fights that go slow, you can also kind of try to build up the druid. So they're pretty versatile. They're not the strongest by any means as well, but they have a more reliable kit. So I will pick the druid. Just get an early sense of cleanse right off the bat. Uh, get some AOE, some single target damage, decent mana generation. Although the main draw for me picking the Spellblade is if I thought I would be going up against the Troll. Like if I knew I was going up against the Troll, Spellblade would be much more of a consideration here, even though I really like Cleanse for the troll. But getting like 2 poison damage on the troll really helps solidify your damage game. But since we just don't know, I think the druid is just better in more situations and for longer. So I'll pick the druid here. We don't have any items yet, so it's next fight. Keep the high rolls. That 1 damage isn't really going to do much, so we can go somewhere else. Look for rats that are doing 3 damage, which is all these middle ones, and ones that are doing 3 damage on a target that is about to die this turn. So we definitely want to hit one that's doing red and kill here. The defender can keep the thief alive, and we can just bank some mana. So it's a pretty good turn. And here it's a little tricky. If we had restore, we could easily just like restore these 2 and use this defender, but we don't. And it's really risky in my mind to reroll the adept if you already have a mana. Like that's especially with fewer rerolls, it's super risky on your last roll to just gamble it all entirely. So I will keep this 1 mana, even though it basically just gives us a burst, which keeps 2 people alive. So if we keep this druid, we can keep 3 people alive, and if we keep this, we can keep 4 alive. But we're not really doing any damage to the rats. But what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to burst a rat doing 3 damage, heal these 2 because I have enough for a burst, and then I'll just reroll the warrior, and maybe I can even save the mana. Which, nope, not good enough. But notably, I can keep people alive and also progress 2 damage. Although I did go through my mana bank, there's just not enough rats to provide a consistent threat. But who knows? Maybe I'll end up losing a character here with some bad rolls. Which the rolls weren't great, but luckily we didn't get punished too hard. I also don't like necessarily recommend taking kind of like more gambly style plays early on in a fight. But the later a fight goes, with the enemy having less and less health and you having less and less health, it's usually better to try to just end the fight at some point. There's a tipping point. I kind of just play it by intuition, and maybe it's actually wrong to do it that way, but that's kind of just how I've felt certain fights go. All right, now our first item pick is Healing Wand versus Coin. Healing Wand provides, in my mind, a decent effect throughout the entire game. Like 4 healing isn't the worst thing ever. I actually like healing. It replaces the right side, which the vast majority of heroes don't have a right side at all, which is super useful with expensive spells. But it's single use, so you're not really going to get a ton of value out of this. And this is not like going to carry a run. But no offense, most tier 1 items aren't going to. And then we have the coin. It improves the left side by 1, but you always have to roll this dice. So if you look at like the heroes that I have, you're just improving 1 dice face by 1. And then if you roll it on turn 1 and you wanted to keep it, you have to keep every other thing that every other character rolled. So if a couple of characters have misses, you have to re-roll the coin anyway. So it's good value because a +1 on one side is still a pretty decent value overall. But it's really tough to actually get that value because your last roll has to be that 1 in 6. So coin's really tricky. It synergizes really well with a couple of characters like the Whirl, who I have a crazy high pick rate on for some reason. Like certain left sides are much better than others. But a lot of them are just like 1 damage, 1 damage, 1 damage, 1 damage. So a lot of times it's not gonna be the greatest. So I usually always take Healing Wand here. And where you put it, I guess, is dependent on, in my mind, who you're going to be most likely to reroll. Like Druid can hunt for certain like sides. So if I'm really like looking for a cleanse, having no ability to miss on the Druid, in my mind, is very useful. But the Druid also has the strongest average sides, so I might want to put it on the Thief. So the Thief could try to like reroll the same damage strategy as the Warrior. But notably, on average, if you roll like 1 damage on the Thief and you choose to reroll, your damage output is the same as if you just kept the 1 damage. So this doesn't necessarily really improve my damage output a lot unless I then choose to aggressively reroll and also hit these for some odd reason. So I'll probably just put it on the Adept right now, just to help prevent the Adept from double missing, which obviously they're the character that's most likely to do that, has the highest percent chance. So and yeah, we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. If this was a fight that had a poison or a cleanse or something like that, I would definitely be putting it on the druid. And here, I feel like since my damage isn't super consistent right now, getting the archer to a 1 HP just gives me like a backup plan. If I decide to use balance for druid, it'll snipe. And if the thief rolls this bow again, I can like both of these characters will easily just kill this archer, which means I don't even have to worry about blocking the thief. And if I use balance, every character is alive right now anyway, so I'm actually just going to not even worry about keeping anyone alive. So I'll keep that. That's why I'm keeping this side on the druid. So I'll do that. I guess I can actually spike this wolf and just waste a block, which is no problem here. And after a good, like, pretty much single 2 turns to start, this fight's basically over. All right, second pick. We have Trapper and Berserker. I highly rate both of these characters. They're both great at doing damage. Trapper, in my mind, is far, 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 far better if we were fighting the Alpha right now. Mostly because if you look at the Trapper's damage, yeah, they have like the 3 deal 2 damage sides, and this can grow. But against this troll, it's going to take like 4 or 5 turns minimum to actually be able to use this side at all. So this side's basically a miss, and these 2 sides are basically a miss. So the Trapper is like a gambler at this point for this exact fight. Although if you are hitting this 3 times this fight, the amount of damage output is kind of crazy, and it's very, very strong. Berserker, on the other hand, has, in my mind, far more consistent damage output, but also runs the risk of you need to be very defensive with a Berserker. Berserker kind of self-synergizes by getting their own health low and then having still 2 chances to, like, a 50-50 chance of rolling something that won't just instantly kill them. And then you can use the side and then block to keep the Berserker alive. Unfortunately, Druid isn't exactly the most defensive upgrade for red, so Berserker is still kind of risky here. In general, I think this is one of those, Berserker is better for the troll fight, but Trapper is likely better for what I'm going to run into in the future, or just less conditionally like necessary that I have defense. Since I already picked an offensive red, Berserker gets a little bit riskier here, but I also think Berserker's damage against the troll will make the troll fight significantly easier than the Trapper's damage. Simply because, hey, there's only so much you can mitigate Trapper's rolling. You notably have a 75% chance of doing 2 damage, so you can say that in the first 4 turns, you can expect the Trapper to do 6 damage. And if you assume, I don't know how to necessarily math out like what on average the warrior would be doing damage wise on those first 4 turns, but it's likely that you're only doing like maybe 10 or 11 damage on over 4 turns if you roll the Trapper just this like every time. So in my mind, this is like super scary to pick the Trapper right now. So I will pick the Berserker, even though it feels scarier and might be worse for us long term. Also notably, the Healing Wand does help keep the Berserker alive. So there's a little bit of synergy there, but that's definitely not like a game plan you want to try to bank on. So yeah, let's pick the Berserker and see what happens. Notably, troll does cleanse, or sorry, poison. So cleanse is important. However, if I stack all my healing on the druid, I can't roll. I can't get a heal off with the druid and also get a heal off here. Like it kind of caps my healing per turn or my defense per turn. So I'm actually probably going to put it on the thief to have just one extra character who can actually help block if I have a like particularly bad turn. I am not positive that this is the best move, but this is kind of what my gut's telling me to do right now. And let's see what happens. let's hope for no poison sides early. Pretty good roll first turn. I'm happy with this. And now what I'm kind of going to be looking to do is maximize value with shields and healing. Notably, Berserker is the only one that I can heal 2 with, so I will definitely want to do that. And then I can block 2 with every character. Defender's always going to get hit no matter what. So they're like a high priority target. But also keeping the Thief out of like stomp range is pretty good too. Since we do also then have their ability to heal. So they're pretty good as well. So I'm going to block, I think, the Thief and just kind of let the Adept just sit there and see what happens. And yeah, this is a bad roll for us right now. Berserker, 4 damage. I'll absolutely take this trade right now. Defender and Adept both roll really, really well. So a move I'm tempted to looking at right now is Berserker hits for 4. Thief can hit for 1. Actually, I'm allowed to aggressively reroll the Thief. The 4 healing is a little overhealing, but actually won't be with the Berserker hitting himself. And who knows? Maybe I can get 2 damage instead here. If I keep these 2 mana, I can balance, which balancing and these 2 sides right here will keep both the Adept and the Defender alive. So I want to be doing this. Although personally, I would like to be doing damage with the Druid. Just with how this attack went, it seems a little too risky. So I'll just reroll the Thief here. Awesome. 2 damage is definitely a high roll there. I'm not complaining at all. And I still think it's worth it to balance. Just try to top off as many heroes as you can, and while progressive, like still doing damage to the troll. I guess in theory we could also just sacrifice the Adept and burst here, doing 1 extra damage to the troll. But I would feel like the only reason I would want to do that is to guarantee a kill on the troll next turn. So, and the only way that would happen is that the Berserker guaranteed rolls one of these 4, and there's a 50-50 chance that they would also then die. And either your Druid or your Thief has to roll 2 damage specifically, or you get like or you get like 1 damage Defender, 1 damage Thief. So you're kind of banking on exactly a next turn kill, and the troll can basically be killing your entire party next turn too. So I think it's correct to try to keep everyone alive and topped off, and as many characters out of like stomp range and like as possible. Which unfortunately you have 2 characters that are still on 2 health, but it helps keep them alive. So let's do this. And then if I'm 1 damage short, I can look back and cry. Again, we're pushing damage and no one's dying, so you definitely keep these blocks here, even though I would love to have the Berserker do just 6 damage and end the fight. We can always wait for next turn. And there's that double miss from the Adept, which would have been like reason to potentially not put it on the Thief. Also, notably, I said I would want to aggressively reroll the Thief because I put this on here, and then I kept the 1 damage anyway. So, yeah, old habits are hard to break. And now here's a scary turn where mana would have been much nicer, like gotten like last turn instead of a double miss, but also the Berserker just won the fight for us. So cool, very clean fight. I'm very happy with that fight. That fight's very scary, and I've lost to the troll like 3 times recently. So. All right, now we have the next item choice. We have Blessed Water and Longbow. Blessed Water has a lot of the same positives as the Healing Wand. Instead of it being a heal for single use, it's basically a block 2 that always applies. I don't know how to describe it any better, but like max HP, it gives current health, so it will heal you, and it can also heal you when you're at full health. So it works kind of like a block in that way as well. So it's super good. It's like the best way to sustain, and it replaces the right side, which Yeah, I mean, we've seen so far how many misses we've gotten, which actually has been surprisingly low. I know, knock on wood. I don't want to jinx it, but so far it's been good. It's been treating us well. But I also think that having this just is a nice peace of mind. Longbow, even in my last video, I kind of disliked. So it replaces the top and bottom sides with 2 damage ranged, which notably on the thief, the defender, the adept is all, and honestly even the druid at this point are all kind of damage upgrades. Um, the problem with this is that the vast majority of even tier 2 heroes are not going to want to equip a longbow. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, if you look at like the whole hero list, which yeah, I can sneak through here and check. Like you don't want to like you can put it on Evoker and you can put it on the Gambler and have absolutely no penalty at all and have it be really, really, really good. Notably, I think Gambler is only okay with things that replace sides. With only 1 reroll and this, even though their damage is higher than most other classes still, their damage consistency is so low that you can't reliably take the Gambler with fewer rerolls and have good results. And reliability is exactly what you're looking for in streaks. Also, notably, you can put it on like the Armorer. There are a couple other heroes, like if you're only going up against a single target, you could put that on the Whirl. But all the ones that I've picked, if you notice, are also really far on the right hand side, which means I don't pick them very often. Because I don't think they're that good. The sure covering bad sides of a bad hero makes them stronger, but in general, they're still kind of not great heroes anyway. And I think the ones that I pointed out all have glaring weaknesses. The only one is the Gambler gets insanely good in terms of damage consistency and output with that bow. So pretty much I would be taking that bow for a temporary offensive gain by putting it either on the thief or the defender or the adept. And once those 3 classes gets upgraded, if I don't get a Gambler specifically, the longbow just sits and does nothing for the entire rest of the game, which kind of sucks. Blessed Water would never do that. But this is the same kind of thing as I was mentioning with the Trapper versus the Berserker. Of Blessed Water is more of a late game pick. If I want to go exclusively late game, I would pick Blessed Water every time. Whereas Longbow is more of a short term benefit pick. But Longbow is very good. Doing 2 damage instead of 1 damage is a huge benefit. If all your characters did 2 damage every round, most fights up until like floor 10 are easy. They're trivial. So there is merit in taking this. It's just a matter of how confident I feel with my current team and with the upgrades in theory that I would have. I have not been paying too much attention to. Okay, so we missed Spellblade, or we took Spellblade. Oh, okay. Interestingly, here's another thing. Having a good knowledge of what heroes you've seen already is very helpful. So if you notice, we've passed on 2 orange heroes already. So we've passed on Spellblade and Trapper. So these 2 are out of the pool. So the odds of us seeing the Gambler are also way higher. Notably, you can put it on the Ranger, although I think the Ranger is a super risky pick with fewer rerolls. Like incredibly risky. I don't like the Ranger. So I would never pick the Ranger. But not great on Dabbler and arguably good on the Rogue. Although I think the top and bottom sides on the Rogues are just fine. But I mean, I could fish for the Gambler now. I have not seen any blues, and I'm certainly not, even with a longbow, I certainly wouldn't really take the Evoker with any kind of confidence. But it's possible. So effectively, I'm thinking, do I want a late game or an early game item? And since my offense is so strong right now, I'm going to take the defensive and late game better item. And then I can put it kind of wherever I want to. It's the same kind of deal where I can put it on heroes that have a chance of missing if I want to reroll. I can also put it over on the Adept. The Adept's the most likely to die. and just have like a good potential overall healing. I'm really looking to get mana this fight, so I almost want to put it on the druid just to more aggressively reroll for druid mana because obviously balance is incredibly good this fight. So yeah, I guess we'll leave it like this. The other option that you can do is you can put it on the berserker for when their health is low. It gives you 4 chances to hit a quote like a success when you're on low HP. But I think the berserker is going to do fine with what they're doing right now. So let's put it on the druid and then keep going. All right, a little scary here because 2 heroes are kind of low. But so here's the thing. So if berserker uses their 4 damage, notably they are going to be at 0 health, but they can snipe this rat in particular, giving them this 2 health back, so they'll still be at 2 health. So it's perfectly fine to use this right now. Having this 3 damage right here also snipes this rat, which keeps the adept alive, and then this shield will keep the thief alive. So I think this roll is just one of those good enough rolls. And hey, I rolled 2 mana. I'm fine with that. So, oops. Kill the things that you know you're going to have to kill first, and then choose who you're going to defend afterwards, and keep going. So, since I have 4 mana, I can cast Balance. Keeps the druid alive, and then if I take 1 damage, I can kill whichever archer is stopping the berserker, or that's going to attack the berserker and the adept. So this is like perfectly fine for me. I don't need any more defense. I don't need pretty much anything, actually. Still worth it to balance here. Still worth it to snipe these. And this fight's basically over. All right, next hero upgrade. We have Armorer and Caldera. I do not like Armorer. I think they are one of the worst tier 2 grays. My reasoning for that is they only have 2 block sides. For a character whose main deal is I am the blocker, only having 2-3 block sides is a pretty rough sell. Heavy damage I really dislike. I think it's very tricky for a lot of fights, but most notably the early bosses. It would not have been any trouble against the troll, but it is very tricky in my mind against both the floor 8 bosses, the Slime Queen and the 3 Witches, because you really need to be spiking down certain targets for the fight to go easier. So heavy's a little rough there too. So the Armorer's big draw, and also I think their biggest trap is the top and bottom sides because they're so cool. Target ally gains +1 to all damage and shield sides this turn. Notably, if you have it on something like Caldera, this 1 damage and 1 mana becomes 2 damage and 2 mana because they are both tied to this pip. So you're doubling the effect of this Caldera. And being honest, 2 damage, 2 mana is a great side. It is like tier 3 worthy side. The only issue is you have used 2 characters for that one thing because this Armorer's entire side is this. So like any combo you could have with the Armorer, unfortunately, usually isn't worth having 2 whole characters worth of turns to, or 2 whole characters turns in 1 turn to do. Even like Armor or Whirl, where Whirl can hit every single target for 1, bumping that up to 2 is kind of nice, but its impact usually is not super high, and you still have to be rolling everything exactly correct, and it's just very tricky. So even though Armor is cool because they have like combo potential, they're not good at what gray heroes are supposed to be doing, which is blocking. And this does not have these like bump boost sides don't necessarily have the impact that I am looking for, even though the combos are kind of cool. So then Caldera, I love Caldera, especially with expensive spells. I think their mana generation is relatively consistent. It's the same as the Adept, while also being able to do 1 damage if you get like the weaker mana generating sides. They have a good, like very good, single target damage. Remember what I was saying earlier that if all of your characters do 2 damage, you can kind of get through a lot of floors really easily. Well, Caldera has a 3 damage on its own side, which can be 6 against targets like the Ogre or any of the 3 witches on floor 4 or the Slime Queen. So Caldera has pretty strong single target damage, good mana generation, and their spell is a setup spell, but it's incredibly mana efficient when you do get it correct. So like you can deal 1 damage, gain 2 mana, and this Caldera alone has done 6 damage over 3 turns, which doesn't sound great, but you can also be hitting other characters and getting them down, and you can get a ton of value out of a good Scald here. And the Caldera can even like just double generate 2 mana, and as long as you're hitting certain characters, not being able to fully spike them down, you can still get a ton of value out of it. So I really like Caldera here. I'm definitely gonna pick Caldera. And now it's a matter of, do I think one of these 2 items will be better on Caldera than where they're at? So with this fight in particular, the Quartz is mana immune, but Caldera can still hit him. I'm likely to just keep whatever the Thief rolls, so I can do something like one of these 2 things. Or if I'm pretty confident with what the Druid rolls, I can easily put like this here or this here. One of the reasons I like putting something like this on the Caldera more is if I do use this side, I don't have a character that now still has 2 misses. I have a character that only has like the one. I might also just be fishing for certain sides with the Druid. But I think my game plan is to spike the Quartz down first. I kind of like this setup. I think it's acceptable. So I'll leave this here and we'll keep going. Now, notably, the Berserker and Thief combo right here kills this Quartz on turn 1, which saves the Thief and stops them from being weakened. So very strong all around. This is good mana generation. Ready for next turn, and I guess I'm just going to reroll the Defender for trying to get more efficient, since it's like their technically worse side. Although that's worse. So, I guess I was wrong there. Now, the reason I want to go after the Ogre here is I want to set them up so that way I'm not proccing these abilities yet until I have to. But one of the tricky parts with Ogres is that if they roll this side like 3, 4, 5 turns in a row, which, yes, happens all the time, you're kind of just sitting there waiting for them to stop doing this. And it's horrible and miserable. So setting up a good kill on an Ogre is actually pretty nice. Like, I am almost tempted to undo the turn and like add the 5 damage here. Although notably that would kill the Thief since the Defender didn't roll any block. So I would not be doing it here. And also that would be killing both the Defender and the Berserker. So that's a terrible play, so ignore that part. But, I mean, getting the Ogre set up to die next turn is very, very useful. So I'm definitely going to be looking to do that because of how obnoxious they can be if they're constantly spamming the tough skills. So, notably, we have 4 damage here. So we're looking for 2 damage. Or else we're in trouble. So I'm definitely going to reroll the Druid and the Thief. The Thief has a 1 in 3 chance of rolling 2 damage, and the Druid has a 50-50 of rolling the extra damage that I need here. And let's see what happens. And if someone dies, then someone dies. All right, never mind. I guess you just got to call your shots, right? No, yeah. Notably, I could do something like this too, and just end the fight. So hey, good damage output. I'm happy with that. And oh great, another Ogre. Very happy. So next item is Herbal Spellbook. You get a 3 mana cleanse single cast. Cleansing is very strong. So this is worth it. You have to equip this on a hero, and if the hero dies, you no longer get access to the spell. Luckily, since this is single cast, you're likely to get that off before if you need to, but it's never a guarantee. Adding range to the left side is also kind of interesting. Um, I don't highly rate range damage, but also recently I've been getting whooped by Cause, the birds. So maybe I'll value it a little bit more. Range damage to the left side is pretty good if you have like a 3 damage, or if you have like a 6 damage. It is only 1, so it feels a little weak. And it's also very conditional. There are many fights where this will do absolutely nothing. Most notably, the next boss, which is the next floor, this will do absolutely nothing. So you would, if I pick this is definitely a long-term investment kind of thing. Whereas this is a short-term and long-term investment, in my opinion. But it has a higher cost. Like 3 mana is not easy to generate when you have expensive spells. Although we do have good heroes to generate mana, so I will keep this just to have a pocket cleanse. I usually just put these on the characters that I think are the most likely to live. Caldera has the highest health, the starting health, even though with start damage it's the same as the druid. But they're also the least likely to get hit by a cleave side. However, because there is a Slimer here that has flanking, which is this one, right? Yeah. Hitting the top and bottom enemies, Caldera is actually not the safest this exact fight, so I'll put it on the Druid instead. Definitely not the Barbarian. So, with pretty much no one dying here, I feel relatively confident rerolling the Berserker. Notably, if I do get 4 damage, I am still missing enough damage to kill the Slimer. I could use that as motive, or as that's assuming I even get the 4 damage. But if I roll the 4 damage and I can't kill the Slimer, the Berserker kind of dies, or else I have to it gets a little tricky. So I think there's merit to potentially rerolling Caldera because I need 5 more damage because I already have 2. So I'm usually happy with most of these. And if I roll defensive, like this defensive side, whatever, I won't be too upset because I can just block for the Berserker then. Okay, so we got a lot of damage here. Most notably, we can snipe that. Can we actually kill the ogre right now? I think we can. Yeah. We can just straight up nuke the ogre. I think that's way better. It stops them from doing any shield shenanigans. And it's just a better efficiency play. And if no one's going to die with an efficiency play like this, we're good to go. I think that's definitely the way to do it. Notably, I can block the Berserker for 1 and then kill the Slimer so they're not taking any more damage. So the Berserker will be at 1 and it will summon the 2 Slimelets, and I'm completely okay with that. So do that. Kill off the Slimer. And we are kind of now prepped for just scalding the 2 Slimelets. Although this fight pretty much feels over. And I'll use this as my mandatory soapbox complaining about Slimelets and the fact that they're so swingy for no reason. And then rolling 3 damage versus 0 damage is so undeniably noticeable how much of an impact it makes that it's sad. All right, anyway, that's it. So now we have the Slime Queen. I'll take a little bit of time to talk about this one, and this choice because the Slime Queen is one of the type fights that a lot of people find trickier, and also I don't feel super confident with this team against the Slime Queen specifically. I would have much rather seen the Witches right now. So Slime Queen is a fight you want to take slow. You want to be very careful on. This fight can go a lot of turns if you have good defense, and it should go a lot of turns. Because your success is based off of how few things you can keep on the screen on any given turn, usually. So notably, you want to kill these Slimelets as fast as possible. And then you would like to get the Slime Queen down to almost no health. Down 5 health to 10. Then you can do one of 2 things. You can either try to chunk out this 5 damage so that there's a Slimer on the board doing nothing, and the Slime Queen's only 5 damage from death. and then kill the Slime Queen next turn. So only a Slimer is attacking you that turn where you're killing the Slime Queen. Or more recently, which is what most people have said that they've done on like the forums and stuff, and I'm like, oh, that actually makes way too much sense. Is you hit the Slime Queen to here, it's like get the Slime Queen down pretty low, or close to the first split them with your weakest attack, and then just put all the damage on the Slimer. Kill the Slimer before it gets a chance to attack, and kill the Slimeless before it gets a chance to attack. And then you can kind of like spike down the Slime Queen and then deal with the other Slimer the other way. And I think both of these work really well. But they both involve you playing kind of slow and you being careful about splitting. So, with that in mind, we have the Ranger and the Bard. I have already mentioned how much I dislike the Ranger, but I'll do it again. Ranger has super low health. Ranger has the highest chance to one of the highest chances to miss if they're not the gambler. Two damage sides where like if you can reliably hit this, yeah, that's 4 damage is a lot of damage. But like target has to be full health, can't be against the boss, can't any of that kind of stuff. And then this range damage cleave side notably takes everything that you hit and makes them unable to have like to be engaged on. So like it's almost anti-synergetic. In theory, if you're going with overall full value, the Ranger has 3, 3, 2, and then like 3, I guess, damage. If you want to like try to weight their damage. But they're super inconsistent. We do have the Blessed Water that we can put on them to help them not miss so much. Which notably is very, very good. And if I was super, super concerned about damage, I would be tempted to take the Ranger here. One nice thing about the Ranger in this fight is that there will be a lot of targets where this can't hit. If you notice, there's already 4, and then every time the Slime Queen splits, it adds another one, and then everything that the Slime Queen splits into or splits with spawns 2 more things. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different enemies that spawn on this. So you'll always have like a good target for this. But notably, the Slime Queen also has the slime flanking, and it's 4 damage. The Ranger's health is super low. I believe it's also the lowest out of the tier 2 oranges. Yeah, like 8, 8. Okay, same as Trapper, 6, 7, 7, 6. So yeah, the tied for the second lowest. And the Ranger, unlike the Trapper, has no survivability. So, additional survivability. So this is going to be one of your tankier heroes you want to be tankier because the Slime Queen will just and the Slimers will just randomly hit them. So this extra 2 health does make a difference. But unfortunately, it's not a lot of health. And so now we have Bard. Notably, Bard doesn't have Cleanse. That's like Bard's biggest downfall. But one of the things that the Bard does have is they have reroll cantrips, which are super useful. Anytime you get it, it's like almost always very useful. It's almost always very good. Bard has. I criticized Armor for having 2, 3 blocks and that's it. Bard does have 2, 3 blocks, and they have like a shield 1 to all, which a lot of people will just consider that as a shield 1, which I don't agree with, especially against the Slime Queen, who is almost guaranteed to hit more than 1 target. Bard has good health. And also, since you have this side right here, you don't really have a 1 in 6 chance of rolling this. You have a 1 in 5. So your odds of getting shields is really, really kind of high. But then again, that also means that your odds of missing are like now 2 in 5. Which, hey, having 2 right side replacers is also just really good here anyway. The Bard, in my mind, is a good defensive upgrade. I think they're good for this fight. I really, really dislike Ranger. I would only pick Ranger if I felt my damage was like super lacking, and we have Berserker Druid Caldera, so I don't. So I would like a defensive upgrade, and as much as I would love this extra 2 health on the Thief, I think the Bard's additional blocking and rerolling overall is going to make this fight better. So I'll pick the Bard, and then I will give the Bard the Blessed Water, so that way this side is always covered, so the chance to miss goes down a lot. And then I'll probably put this on the Caldera. I don't know about this one. I don't know where this wand should go necessarily. Um, the If the Caldera rolls any of this, I'm keeping it. I like it. I think it's good. I would even use this side against one of the Slimelets on turn one, which does mean that the Caldera is going to be likely to have all like 2 chances to miss every time they roll. But if that happens, I'll just aggressively keep whatever they have. Whereas Berserker, once their health gets low, they have 3 chances to hit instead of 4. So this gives them like kind of like a fourth and gives them something else to do. Uh, but I mean, it's kind of all the same. And it's just completely dependent on what gets rolled and who takes damage and why and when. So I'll put it on. What do I want? Do I want this for roll consistency on Caldera and the ability to use this and heal it? Or the Berserker for when their health gets low, they have more things to do. I'm pretty sure this is just going to happen guaranteed, and that's more speculative, so I'm going to keep it on the Berserker. Again, no idea if that's correct. Also, with my complaint earlier, please note how much easier this turn would be if these Slimelets were just missing. The fact that you can go into the Slime Queen fight and have all 3 of them missing, or miss, but also then this happens, it's super bad. It's super polarizing with this fight. Notably, I want to have some kind of defense for the Thief, so I will reroll the Thief in hopes to get, I guess, pretty much anything, even though this is a little risky, and I do want the Caldera to hit something. Okay, because if I got a double miss there, I probably would have cried. No, it's like guaranteed. All right, so we start clearing out. This is a high priority target, and then this has to be a high priority target, or else the Berserker would have just died. Yeah, and we take a handful of damage. And this is also the reason why keeping the Thief topped off is super important. Is sometimes, like every time the Slime Queen rolls this, no matter what their current health is, you need to block for them. So that makes the Thief kind of a liability right now, which is also like one of the biggest reasons for maybe taking the Thief upgrade instead. But can't go back in time, and I'm not going to try. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's necessary. So I can try to hold on to this wand for a better turn, because right now what I'm doing is I'm going to kill this Slimelet here, block both of these two, and maybe like heal the Caldera as well. That gives me 1 damage here, and I could use this 3 damage to set up the Slime Queen perfectly, which I'm glad I kind of spoke that through, because that actually makes me want to take it. The nice thing about not using this, though, is I could be banking up mana for the turn that I split the Slime Queen. So I can also then use mana to help get me to where I need to go. So I think it's actually worth it to reroll here, just because I don't want the Caldera's rerolling strategy to be super risky early on. And of course, I get the exact same thing. So I'm fine with this. This is all right. We get the Slime Queen at exactly the perfect splitting point for either of the strategies of killing the Slime Queen, even though I'm at this point far more likely to go after its summon. And then notably, I'm not going to be able to do 10 damage. I have like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And in theory, if the Bard rolled this, I could get 10. But that, like, the Berserker would die, and I would be still left with 2 Slimers, so I don't think that's worth it. This damage is good. Notably, I do. So, like, if I keep these 2, I can cast Balance, which keeps the Caldera alive, and then heals the Thief, so that way if the Bard happens to roll either of these 2, I'm okay. So I think I'm just going to try to gun for that. I know it's only a 40% chance of having that happen, but at least I have multiple 40% chances for that to happen. So I will. I guess I'm going to gamble here, because keeping this Thief alive is going to be super hard. The only thing I could do is I could try to reroll the Druid for exactly this 1 in 6, because the shield won't save him either. Even if I rolled the shield one to all with the bard, that won't help. So it's like, I guess I guess this is kind of what I have to do. Unfortunately, this side is not enough. This 2 damage I'll keep. Well, actually, no, because I have a lot of chances to hit something that I would want. So I'm gonna gamble here too, even though I understand that this is very risky. And it's all just to try to keep this thief alive. Okay. Well, at least people stay alive. I can keep the thief alive. Notably, I cannot use this berserker here. Unfortunately, I'm 1 health off, even though that's a super nice possible split. I could also, I know this is silly, maybe sounds silly, but I could also just throw the thief in the garbage. After all those rolls, after all that work, I could choose to not keep the thief alive and use the berserker instead. Notably, I'm trading 1 health because I'm losing a net gain of 1 health here for 4 damage. And the reason I would do this is if I don't think the thief's going to output that much value very soon. Effectively, the thief has to roll 2 damage and roll 2 damage to output that. But also, the thief staying alive to eat another one of these hits is also really useful. And notably, if I do use this side, I'm spawning another Slimelet, which has a chance to do 3 extra damage, which is kind of tough. Sorry, I'm also thinking, like, what happens if I do this first? In theory, I could get 2 damage on here instead. So the net gain is I take 2 damage. I keep 2 damage on the Slime Queen, but I do 1 extra damage on the Slimer. So it's a little bit of a waste. But at the same time, I want to be killing the Slimer next turn, not the Slime Queen. So any damage I can get on the Slimer is going to be better. And yeah, I think I just keep this. Doesn't look nice, but probably the right play. Yeah, let's go ahead. See what happens. And yeah, this fight, most unused dice ever. Don't be afraid to not use a dice. Okay, that's super good for me, in my opinion. Just because if you kill this Slimer with 2 damage, the Druid will be at 3. 2-1. Notably, we need 2 damage somewhere. So it might be risky to not keep this. And if we do, okay, so I do 3 damage. I need to do 2 more damage. So if the Caldera rolls any mana, which unfortunately since I used the wand, the Caldera is going to miss a lot, or the Thief rolls damage, I'll be all right. Well, I say I'll be all right, but I still need to try to keep the Druid alive by getting 3 block, and I know notably only have 2. So I'm kind of in a lot of tricky situations here. I could try to hope that Caldera rolls a damage and Thief rolls a damage to get the 5 damage, and then reroll the Bard to get the Bard blocking. But that's like a really low odd play, but it might be my only play to keep the Druid alive. Otherwise, I might actually just have to say goodbye to the Druid. And if that's the case, I should just reroll the Druid because I don't want to be blocking on this turn. So let me think of other ways that I could potentially survive. If the Bard rolls specifically the top or bottom block, that still brings the Druid to nothing. If I keep this, I have a 40% chance to keep the Druid alive with this roll, with just the roll exactly. If I keep this, I have a 2 and 3 chance to be able to burst the Slimer down, which is good, but it's still not going to keep the Druid alive. The Druid will be at like taking 3 extra damage. This will be at 1 extra damage, and this will be dying perfectly if I keep this. So if I do that strategy, if I keep this, the Druid's just dead. So I should reroll the Druid. Killing the Slimer is pretty important. Trying to keep all your characters alive is pretty important. And I feel like I'll just be talking in circles, trying to figure this out. So let me grab some more water because I already went through a giant jug of it. Because last video I was like hacking and coughing and stuff halfway through. Um, yeah, and just take a while to think about these turns because these turns are going to make or break this run. Um, so I will be back in a second. All right, we're back. I'm pretty sure, thinking about it, there's no practical way to keep the druid alive. I think it's relying on too many factors: a 40% and a 1 in 3 from either one of these two characters. Added together is super low. So I will want the strategy that kills this Slimer the most and sets me up for the best turns later. Notably, if I'm going to let the druid die, and if I'm going to kill this Slimer and I'm going to let the druid die, I'm taking no damage. So no block is worthful here. No block has any value. So I should reroll all block and try to get as much damage as I can. I think this is the right play, so let's just go with it and see what happens. All right, that is a lot of. That's a lot of good damage. So notably, I double split the Slimer before casting Balance. I did definitely Balance is the right play here. It sets up Scald on both of these Slimelets and can push the Slime Queen down pretty hard. And the Druid is dying by a sad just 2. But we're down 1 character, but this is definitely a manageable situation. Notably, we just have characters that can miss, so we have to be very careful about rolling them. And also, remember when I said these are very polarizing? Think about how much worse this turn would be if they both rolled 3 damage. Instead of only 1 character being close to death, 3 of them would be guaranteed because 3 damage, 3 damage. So lucky. That's what I'll say. Lucky. Also, notably, the Berserker's not dying here. I'm pretty sure I'm going to Scald. It uses a lot of mana, but it also pushes this fight. Since our Druid is gone, we can't play this fight that slow anymore. So if we Scald here and do this 1 damage, the Bard keeps the Caldera alive, and then Berserker is either going to roll one of these 2. Well, the Berserker can roll this row again. If the Berserker does not, then and the Berserker rolls the 4 damage pain side, we don't have a great target. Like in theory, we could push the Slime Queen to 1 health, and that would be super sad for us because if the Thief rolled 2 damage, it would be more worth it to consider this because then the Berserker wouldn't be taking any damage if we rolled the 4 damage side specifically. This just kind of lets us sit pretty against a Slime Queen with 5 health and kind of do whatever we want to afterwards, and it also lets us. So here, let's. Oops. Okay. Yeah. And also, I forgot. We can't preview and see what happens. So It also lets us have the Berserker at relatively high health for next turn against this. So that way, any kind of block in this is almost guaranteed to kill the Slime Queen. But unfortunately, without having any mana bank or reserve, is a little rough. But I think this is still the right play. So I'm going to be done rolling. I'm going to min block the Caldera and max block the Berserker, so that way next turn the Berserker can roll 4 damage pain to kill the Slime Queen, and I will Scald to take out all 3 of them. And just hope for some damage. Just like this. This is absolutely perfect. This is exactly what I was looking for. And this is super necessary. So Berserker can do 4 damage. Caldera can do 1 damage here. Obviously, since no damage is incoming anymore, I should be blocking this here. And then I can get 2 damage on this Slimer. And this fight is now looking super, super, super good. I'm very glad I did not try to gamble and roll to try to keep the Druid alive. Even though it really felt like you needed to keep the Druid alive for this fight. I think educated gambling on sacrificing your heroes is also something pretty important. I've lost a couple of other runs recently where I over-prioritized keeping all of my characters alive. You should prioritize keeping your characters alive as often as you can, but you can do that too much. You always have to have a game plan to successfully kill your opponent. So if you don't have that, but you're just keeping your characters alive, it's pointless. And yeah, I think if we missed that roll, we had no chance of winning. If we tried to put extra resources in keeping the Druid alive and just completely whiffed, like we were done. That was it. There's no way we could have won that. So, yeah, sorry talking a lot. I can block 1 on the Berserker, deal 4 damage, and then burst to kill. Obviously the bar, so that is fine. If the Slimer is going to die, the only reason I would take this shield is because I'm afraid of missing, which is a legitimate concern because it can block 1 damage for the Berserker. Also not that important, so I'm just going to reroll and hope for either 3 block or the 2 max health. You know, it was a risk I was willing to take, but it just feels so guaranteed at this point. All right, and now we have this team against 2 Slimelets. I will be very sad if we die here. I shouldn't have even put that out in the universe, but no takebacks. All right, whew. Berserker coming in clutch. Because yeah, we definitely don't want to be. At this point, now we're just holding on for dear life, hoping that we don't lose any heroes. Because that would be the only way this fight could kind of bite us later. So hey, we made it through the fight. I'm super happy with that. And now we have this crummy fight. Spiker and Quartz. Yeah, I also haven't been explicitly saying it, but you should also just check to see what fight you're getting, even in hallway fights, before you look at your items or your upgrades. And then figure out kind of like what your plan is. Like Berserker has a lot of physical damage. Thief has some range damage, which is fine. We notably have no poison, and Caldera also has an unreasonably high amount of physical damage against the Spiker. So we are going to be taking a lot of chip damage. And this thing has a lot of health. So this is a tough early enemy to come up against. And in my mind, since Quartzes have self-shield, they just need to die first, period. So we might also just be kind of relying on spells for mitigating the Spiker a lot. We'll see. Okay, so we have another kind of interesting item choice. We have the Sparkly Ring, which gives +1 to all basic mana sides, which means the side literally has to only give mana and literally nothing else. And then the Sparkly Ring will give it +1. Most notably, we have 2 characters that have 2 of those sides. And in my mind, even if you have an item and it just gives +1 to one side, that's pretty good. So this is very good now. And then I'll go over. Okay, yeah. And then we have Terrarium, which is like a fancier version of 2 items we already have, which replaces the right side. So replacing the right side with Heal 4 single use and replacing the side with 2 max HP are both like defensive right side replacers. This one is a little bit more actually, but it replaces the two right sides and it has growth, which usually means it's good for slower fights. Um, Most notably, like on the thief, it'd be incredible right now because it's changing this, and they're both upgrades. But with both of these, I think the biggest thing that you need to pay attention to is how good are they going to be anytime in the future. So Sparkly Ring sounds really great, but its biggest weakness comes when you have tier 3 heroes. Notably Sorcerer, Chronos, Warlock, Artificer, and Weaver. That's every single tier 3 blue does not have a basic mana side. Not a single one of them. So that Sparkly Ring is completely useless on your mana generators, which seems really bizarre, but that's why it's kind of awkward for tier 3. Um, Shaman, Witch has one, Mender has none, Alchemist has none, Forsaken has two. So out of your two most reliant mana generators, you have three whole basic mana sides, and they belong on exactly two heroes. One of them I think is top tier, and there's only one. And the other one I'm far more reluctant to take. But it's much better on them. And some of the times where I have taken Forsaken, I have had the Sparkly Ring. Then other things, Paladin, which is one of the tier 3 Great Cleansers, also has a basic mana side, so it's not the worst there. And I'm pretty sure that is completely it. I'll just very quickly scan these just because I'm looking exactly for one thing. My brain doesn't have to process a lot of information. And yep, that's it. So you have three whole heroes that it belongs to. Two of them are pretty darn good. One of them is questionably good, but I know a lot of people like them. Everyone likes to root for the underdog. And that's it. Other than that, unless you get items that give you basic mana side, like powdered mana, which we're already past, we can't possibly get powdered mana anymore. But this, it buffs that. It buffs Fairy Pact, which I think we're also. No, we're not out of range of Fairy Pact yet, are we? Hold on, let me do some quick math here. No, I'm not going to do quick math. My brain's way too fried already. We're here. So no, we're not. Or maybe we might be, but it boosts Fairy Pact too, and then also notably, there's like what's the non-powdered mana? I don't remember what it's called, or what it looks like actually off the top of my head. Hold on, bear with me here. Bear with me. I'll get there eventually. I promise. Is it really this? I thought it was like here. Either way, now it's like super. Oh, here we go. Yeah, Fairy Dust. Blank sides become 3 mana. Then suddenly that ring works really well with all those, but it's super rare. So this is like a very good now, potentially useless later item. And yeah, getting +2 sides is very good. Terrarium also, if you look, I'm also mostly doing this to show that I also believe that if you're having trouble with an item pick, you should check to see what's available and if any of it's good. So it's not great on the Sorcerer. It's okay on Chronos if you're not worried about the defense. It's fantastic on Warlock. This is the Terrarium, by the way, which replaces the two right sides. And most of the time with these tier 3 heroes, that right side is honestly pretty darn good. Almost all tier 3 have the right side missing, but we already have 2 items that cleanse that out. And yeah, some of the best sides are here, which is kind of surprising because usually, like if you look at Ludus, I believe this is like the order of strength or supposed order of strength. I think this got switched for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I'm just speculating without thinking about it too much. But like, there are not a lot of heroes where you're not so like Sharpshot, who also has the same problem in my mind as the Ranger. So I don't really pick either of them. And like the only one that it's super good on is Warlock. I don't think this is that great. I think this is conditionally good right now, and it's not going to be that great later. So I guess I will take the Sparkly Ring because it has some value, although I am tempted to just take a random item. I don't I like taking random items if I think I need it, or if I think these two are just not going to get any value. And I'm willing to take the risk with Sparkly Ring of it falling off, since we have already so many other right side replacers. I just want to guarantee to have something. So I'll take the Sparkly Ring. I'll put it on Caldera because technically they actually have a higher chance of living right now. So I have more chances to get use out of it. And I'm still fine with all of this, I think. Yeah, definitely Berserker against Spiker. I'm okay with them having this. Okay. I'm actually explaining way more than I thought I would this run. I guess I can't help myself. So notably here, this is kind of miserable. Bard pretty much has to roll one of these three sides. So I have a 60% chance of doing so. Actually, no. I have an 80% chance. This is the only side I don't want. Because I'm going to keep this. So this brings the thief from 4, 3, 2, 1. This would bring the thief to 0. But this is +2. This will let me burst, which will then keep him up, and this will do the same. So anything but this. And, I said call your shots. So I'm getting exactly this bottom shield 3. Okay, not even close. But Thief gets to stay alive. So I'm fine with that. A lot of resources burned into it, and this Spiker is just a pain, but yeah, this is just kind of how a Spiker fight's going to go, especially when you have so many physical damage dealers. Yeah, and unfortunately, both these characters will die if I use this, so I'm kind of just sitting here, hoping that, yes, that they will use this ability, because it's much more manageable than the alternative. The Druid with this growth side is kind of interesting. Ideally, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be balancing, which is going to heal, 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 to take them off Death's Door. But notably, the Berserker attacking is going to put them right back, and the Druid attacking then would also put them right back. So either the Bard then rolls the one side that I just didn't want, the only side I didn't want last time, or I risk potentially having two characters die, which is not a good move. So I'm actually going to reroll this, and I think I'm just going to keep this because I really, really don't want to miss on this turn. Thanks, Thief. Okay, so we do this. I'm actually tempted to, instead of... Actually, no, this works just fine. I could also double burst. Double bursting notably puts, more people off of 1 health, but it also uses all of my mana, and I like having a mana bank. All right, perfect. This is what we're talking about right here. Now, no one can say that this was a bad pick. No, I'm kidding. All right, cool. We have decent damage. We have decent survivability, and this is all very good. Oops. Yeah. Do that, and then slice, keep everyone up, and then we only have to do 4 damage for the win. I didn't miss lethal, I don't think, right? Yeah. Always good to double check that, but because my brain was just on surviving that round. And this is like perfect. Notably, I can actually just keep the Bard alive. But we have lethal here anyway, because 2 damage and 2 damage will kill, and I just need to block the Thief. So, hey, Healing Wand. Look at this. Also, I'm completely justified using the Healing Wand, even though I didn't need it for this fight. Oh, also just a side note, attack. You do physical damage against spiky characters last if you can help it, because technically that Thief could have died if I didn't block first, and then you can't undo that move, and the Thief just immediately comes back. So, all right, now is the time of the show where everyone gets to pause the video and guess. Am I going to get offered the Rogue, the Dabbler, or the Gambler? Those are the only 3 left. So which one of these 3 am I not going to see? Yeah, sure. Pause the video now and guess. See if you're correct. All right. In 3, 2, 1. Gambler and Dabbler. So we don't see the Rogue, which is a personal favorite of mine. But in all fairness, the rogue does kind of fall off quicker than most other heroes. We did not take the short bow, which would have been great for the gambler. And like I said, I think the gambler is near untakeable with fewer rerolls. Without any side replacers. In theory, we can give them this or this, but that's still really risky. Still, their damage output isn't necessarily the greatest. I would actually, since Dabbler, on the other hand, is also a very defensive heavy orange. They're the only one, but they have 3 really strong block sides, and mana generation, I guess, is decent for like AoE healing or AoE damage. So notably, their damage sides are a little bit weaker. They're missing 2 damage here, and then they just don't have a 1 damage side if you compare it. But with more health and no ability to miss, and honestly, pretty strong ability to block, where the Druid, in my mind, is kind of lacking that healing ability, makes the Dabbler a decent pick here. Neither of these here picks are great, but we already passed up like the Trapper, which usually is just the right pick no matter what. Also worth noting that if we keep the Dabbler really late, we can give them the Sparkly Ring, but that's super minor. Yeah, so we have this fight. Notably, Berserker rolling 4 damage on turn 1 is super important to kill that zombie, and also that is kind of. I think this is a bait if you took it. A reason to take the Gambler to maybe snipe this zombie, but the chance of you missing and overcommitting to just trying to kill one zombie in one fight, I think could get you in a lot of trouble. So I'm going to put this here because I'm expecting the Berserker to use this on turn 1 immediately. So I would like to have the option for more healing, even though, all that. And here we go. Got that instantly. Super happy with it. Notably, the Berserker is going to put themselves on, call it Death's Door. Here, I don't need to be healing them right now, especially because I have this block. So I can reroll to just try to push down this quartz because the quartz is a pain. So I'm going to do that, but only because there's no actual risk here anymore. Druid is fine because the Berserker will keep the Druid alive, and then the Bard with 3 block will keep the Berserker pretty topped off. Okay. Let's see. That seems like it's pretty good. Kind of evens out which hero is the lowest health. And yeah, I did really good damage this turn. So very happy with that. Notably, this also kills the quartz, almost kills the sniper, keeps everyone alive. So, yep, easy fight. That went very, very smooth. Happy with that one. Okay, next pick, Empty Chalice. You have 0 mana at the end of the turn, gain 1 mana. And then Courage. You gain a max HP and another right side replacer. Replace the right side with stun an enemy with equal or less health than you. Notably, this is good early, but also stunning early is kind of not great. So in my mind, it has like it's very conditional on using. It's not weak by any means. Replacing a side that would have been a miss anyway, giving extra health are both good, and the +1 max HP alone just makes it not a complete waste to take ever. But yeah, it's kind of rough spending your first turn stunning someone instead of killing them. And obviously, you're not like guaranteed to get a kill if you just didn't keep this courage or whatever. So this gives you other options, which is always nice. But it's hard to keep your heroes at high health, and this obviously requires it. So it's also kind of conditional, but the extra health is nice. Empty Chalice in particular is, well, one, missing capitalization at the start of the sentence. Absolutely ridiculous. This game is unplayable. Notably, you need to be able to reliably have 0 mana at the end of the turn. for Empty Chalice to proc. And if we think about what heroes we have, what spells we have, one of the things is Balance is going to cost 4, Scald is going to cost 4. So if we ever if we only had even mana generators, that'd be fine. If we have full odd ones, anytime the Caldera rolls mana, we're not going to be able to use it unless we burst instead. Bursting kind of takes that out. It's a lot. I guess I'm using a lot of words to say this is a lot easier to trigger without expensive spells. Both in the fact that your spells costing less give you more flexibility on how you can bring the mana down to 0, and yeah, just there's a lot more. And being able to actually even have enough mana to cast spells in the first place also brings this down. So this is just like super, in my mind, risky, and also it notably has literally no effect on turn 1. You have to end a turn first. So at the very beginning, it has like no value. So I'm likely to just pick Courage here. Notably, we have a ton of right side replacers, and that they won't always be taken into effect. Like we won't always necessarily have right sides that need replacing, but I think Courage is fine enough because of the max HP. We can put it here just to keep the Barbarian's health high. We could also try to put it on like the Druid or Caldera. So if we put it on like the Bard, that's actually not so bad because the Bards. Another thing that I pay attention to a lot now is max HP when you have start damaged. With start damaged, every multiple of 4, you will lose 1 starting health. So if you take the Druid that starts at 7 and bring it to 8, since 8 is a multiple of 4, you start with 6 health here because you're only taking 1 damage, and then you start with 6 health here because you're now taking 2. So it's much more efficient to not cross a multiple of 4. The Bard's already crossed the multiple of 4, so if you put it there, you're fine. The reason I wouldn't want to put it on the Berserker, even though it has the same scenario, like situation, is just that the Berserker is going to be doing a ton of damage to themselves. So the likelihood of them being able to do this is pretty low. Also, notably, mana generation is not so great here. We have 2 ghosts and expensive spells, so all spells cost 3 from what they initially do. So we're not really going to be able to cast a spell early on in this fight, which is heavy incentive to roll this side, which also might mean that I would want to put this on the Dabbler and then give the Caldera the ability to not miss here, or switch these two so that the Bard's always healing and give the Caldera at least a chance to be slightly more offensive. And I like this. I think this setup is perfectly fine. We want the Berserker doing as much damage as possible, so I'm not going to give him any right side replacer. Now, notably, if we're looking to survive with all characters this round, this will block 1 here, and then 1 here, which puts him at +5. And if I manage to kill this ghost, that brings them at +0. So they still need help. Additionally, this Caldera, this 3 mana literally can't be used at all. It just sits there, does nothing. I'm absolutely keeping this 3 damage from the Dabbler. I would probably want to reroll the Berserker for the 50-50, simply because this 2 damage just puts people so close out. And I can still, I mean, if I rolled this 1 and 3, then I could guaranteed snipe a ghost, but I don't have that guarantee at all. So I'm going to reroll this just for more damage, even though I think there's risk in doing so, but this is a scary first turn with how much is hitting gray. Okay, perfect. So I can do this, that, and then snipe this ghost. And I don't even have to use this wand if I don't want to. I think that would be silly to not use this wand. I think I should keep as many people topped off as I could. So hitting that Bard works just fine for me. Yeah, and that was an excellent reroll. That Caldera's done putting in a whole bunch of value on a turn where even I was saying I wanted to do a lot of damage. I ended up not needing to anyway. And also, this is such a troll. Look at this. Look at how expensive these are. This could cast me like one spell. If this wasn't against ghosts and this had like didn't have expensive spells, I could just win every fight with this much mana. That's a joke, but and here it gives me what, 2 bursts? I can burst twice with this. Oh, that's pretty fancy. Yeah, that's terrible. So I think I'm still willing to re-roll the Caldera. Absolutely, and if I'm going to do that, I might as well re-roll everybody. Yeah, let's see what happens. I'm saying that a lot, aren't I? Okay, so notably, I can snipe this ghost and keep the berserker alive and have no issues. So I'm going to do that. Perfect. Clean fight. Scary, but clean fight. MVP right here. MVP. Good job, Courage. Here we go. Okay, now we have the Lich. Notably, one really nice thing about taking the Druid is that the Druid has Cleanse. And the Druid's Cleanse is here. So the Lich's Petrify on the first time it's used on the Druid will not stop the Druid from cleansing. One of the biggest weaknesses, I know this is hilarious to say, of the Monk is that if they get petrified, both of their cleanses go away. So it's super scary to get cleansed here, and you really want cleanse here. Additionally, I think I probably want to probably prioritize keeping the Berserker to snipe this zombie. Although it's not super important, it just helps the start of this fight a lot. And I would want a cleanser, although I do really like this reroll. So we'll see what I get. Most likely, the only thing I wouldn't want to do is replace this druid with a character that does not have a cleanse. I think that would be throwing. Okay. Super interesting choice here. Because we have one of my favorites that a lot of people dislike, and one of my ex-favorites that now that I play with expensive spells, I don't like almost at all. Dancer and Artificer. So just talking about them without any context right now. Dancer is weird. This 1 damage cantrip side, not the greatest. If you roll it every single time, you're doing 3 damage, which not the worst in the world, but when 2 out of that 3 damage is undirected, it's not necessarily the greatest. Having a 4 damage side is good against zombies. It's good against like the imps and the and skeletons and all that. And it's not terrible against like the goblin fight. Having this survivability is good against like Tarantus. And then the star of the show for the Dancer is this. A lot of the hard fights in this game are when there's just a ton of enemies. Very notably, on this exact fight, there is the possibility of there being a ton of skeletons on the board. With just like the Berserker can stay alive with clever health manipulation, and paying attention to where you're damaging. If you do that similar kind of paying attention to how you're doing damage game, you can pretty much clear any AoE fight. AoE meaning there's a lot of enemies on the board. I'll just refer to it as that. Sorry if that's not clear. On turn 1, the second you roll this, you can clear an entire board of enemies, and you only take 1 damage each time you do it, and you have 9 health as the Dancer. Anything that increases your damage at all, which notably I don't have right now, but anything that I might find in the future that increases my damage makes this side insane. And it just increases the consistency of being able to just clear any single board really high. So I really like the Dancer. The Dancer's biggest weakness is bosses. Notably, Hexia and I guess Troll King. So the frustrating thing about Troll King is if they have 4 archers, because this can't one-shot the archers, and so unless you're doing 1 damage to an archer somehow, you would have to cast this twice. Having a consistent quote unquote 3 damage from the cantrips is pretty good. There are some turns where you can sneak out like 6 damage, so it's not like it's terrible. Against a slate, these cantrip sides can help nuke them pretty quick and pretty efficiently without you like doing overkill. So the Dancer is all right against the Troll King, and they're actually pretty good against Tarantis for clearing out all those fighters. And they have a dodge for the Tarantis' effect, which nukes the character. But against the Dragon and against Hexia in particular, the Dancer is really weak. Wow, I'm talking about the Dancer a lot. Hold on. All right, what? This side, when there's like 6 imps, you take 1 damage for every imp that you hit too. So you can often take like 7 to 10 damage just by hitting that ability once. It just auto kills you and it's not doing a ton of damage. So this side in particular is very sad against Hexia. Very sad. And then you're hitting yourself a lot with these cantrip sides, although your damage output is still going to be relatively good. Notably, if you do run into the Hexia, you would like Undying in some way, which, like lower tier grays have it. Although I like these heroes. Don't tell anyone. And then some of the riskier but nice damaging yellows. Well, exactly one has it. So Undying can at least help them stay alive. But yeah, that's kind of the Dancer in a nutshell. Artificer, in my mind, is designed and made to fill the same role. Blades is bonkers. It is like being able to use this twice, with no penalty of needing to have a character on an enemy on 1 HP. But you need mana for it. And normally that's completely fine by me. Normally I'm completely okay taking one hero and saying, okay, you are my hero to kill a lot of enemies, and just leaving everyone else to cover up the other things that this can't do. The only problem is, with expensive spells, this becomes 5. Notably, you can only store 3 mana. So if you are grabbing this 4 mana side and you have no mana, you cannot cast Blades. Against like those crazy huge fights with all the enemies, Artificer's awesome. If they can cast Blades on their own 2 turns in a row. I know that's kind of a big if, but that's definitely what you want a gun for. And it makes those fights super easy. So both of these characters are like AoE characters. Notably, with some single target decency. 2 poison, single use side, great. 4 damage to a single target, also great. And then this could potentially do like 4, 6 damage, something like that. So Artificer also has really good single damage sides. The only problem is all their stuff disappears. And we don't have replaced blanks like the powdered mana or the caster root, notably. But there are items that synergize with this in the future. Since we have 2 other characters that generate mana, I feel like this is far more stable. I don't want to be poisoning the Lich. I think that's one of the easiest ways to just lose. So this is tricky in my opinion. I know many people would probably snap pick Artificer here, but like I said, Artificer has in my mind a glaring weakness of needing extra mana gen. Notably, not a single blue hero can use the Sparkly Ring, so I can easily just put it over to the Druid right now. And that also helps with getting really good consistency casting Blades, which will be super important on the upcoming fights. But in theory, I could also just take the Dancer and have the Dancer spin in a circle or do whatever this is, and kill everybody every single fight. It's not guaranteed, but it's also far more reliable than what people make it out to be. I have found. I think Artificer just has less weaknesses, and with how good my mana gen is right now, I think it's worth taking. Although in my mind, both of these picks are scary for very similar reasons. They both can whiff pretty hard. So their output consistency is questionable. What they do is not, but whether or not they actually roll the side that you need is much lower. And Artificer only because every time you use a side, you can it's missed. But I usually don't pick Artificer, but I'm gonna pick him. I think that's that's who I'm going with. I've only picked them 11 times on this account, which this account is far more generous with a lot of like this. It's far more generous than my other like my main thing. But yeah, let's go with Artificer. Let's see how it goes. Because notably, yeah, the biggest thing for me to keep in mind is that there is no synergy with either of these heroes right now at all. So I basically then have to say which one do I think has better synergy in the future. Which Dancer missed a lot of their synergies with this side. I could look through everything and see, but I'll spare you guys. I'll spare everybody who's listening and watching to not look at every single item to see just exactly how many work for the Dancer. And there are, I know, like Wand Grips and Memorize. Both are still in the pool and willing to and able to be taken. So let's go with Artificer. Why not? Notably, I can put this here, that here. This for the same reason that just because they're the only character now that doesn't have that single use side or have that open. All this is single use, and yeah, I think we are okay. Most notably, so I will want to be aggressively rerolling the Druid for cleanse because the easiest way you lose this Lich fight um is cleansing. Also, I guess negative for taking Artificer here is this fight is slow. And notably, Artificer it dies hard. They die. They burn out really fast. So they're much better for later fights. For later fights that go quick. And this is definitely the slowest fight left in the game. So maybe I should have taken Dancer. Live and learn. But I'm stuck with this, so I will be back in a minute or so, and we will fight this Lich that I'm terrified of. Be right back. All right. One last check of the inventory, although I'm pretty sure everything's where it needs to be. Do I want to move this? Oh yeah, I forgot. As much as I was scared of cleanse, also good mana generation can give us this. So also something to keep in mind. 8 health on the end versus 9 health in the middle. Does the Lich have any cleaves? No. They just have single target or hit all. What is this called if it hits everyone? Oh, it just says to all enemies. Okay. So yeah, I guess in theory, Dabbler is slightly safer. I have no idea. Let's go. All right, we'll keep some defense here, but we want to roll 4 damage. There's merit to just building this up against a lot of skeletons, but I think having multiple sides that do that is perfectly fine. Do this on. I also think since this perfectly blocks, I in theory would waste a block if I put it somewhere else. Also sad times, but if I do this, I just lose 1 mana. I think I'm fine with that because I don't want to use any mana on this right now. This turn right now. I definitely don't think cleanse is worth it for here, but I think banking 3 mana and just saying okay, you lose this side is fine for the Artificer. This, just like Slime Queen, is another fight where you know what? Sometimes you just don't want to be you don't want to be doing anything. Don't need to keep defense. We could go for heavy offense here. So okay, here's an interesting thing. So I have 5 damage right now, which won't split the Lich. I'm not even gonna consider this poison damage. I'm not poisoning the Lich. Um, so if I cleanse the Berserker or the Dabbler, if I cleanse the Dabbler, I can do 3, 4, 5, 6 damage, which would spawn 2 skeletons, which seems nice, except for the Lich is now spawning skeletons. So next turn, I have 4 skeletons I have to deal with, and whatever the Lich attacks does, which is kind of risky. If I don't cleanse either of these and just do the 5 damage, the first skeleton I kill will spawn 2 more skeletons guaranteed, which also isn't great. But it's more manageable because the skeleton's attacks are being dispersed over multiple turns. So I do like that far more. I'm wondering if I should just reroll the Berserker because damage on the Lich just does not matter at this point. And I don't want to have the Berserker be super low on turns where I would like to be killing skeletons instead. But I can also shield too because pretty much everything else is just a joke for the Bard. And do that, so I'm only taking 1 damage. So I really like that. And then I'm absolutely rerolling. So the reason why I was saying any of this in the first place is that if I could have done 6 damage to the Lich reliably, I could then also poison and deal 1 damage to a skeleton, which is kind of sad. But in all fairness, this side's going to be sad no matter who I use it on because it's either the skeleton or the Lich, and I'm never using it on the Lich. So I could have poisoned a skeleton so that way it's easier to kill next turn when there are 4 skeletons. But I think that's just I'm trying to do too much and trying to get too fancy if I do something like that. So I'm not going to. Instead, I will just re-roll, and if I get the mana side or nothing, I just don't care. If I get anything else, I might consider it. But honestly, I'm just expecting this to. This fight is slow, so I'll play it slow too. Okay, now here is exactly what I said. Was potentially like a. Okay, I don't want to cleanse that one. So I can actually now do 6 damage here. And then the Berserker can do 3 damage here. And 3 damage might seem like it's not so great, but I'm also set up to cast a Blades next turn if any of my mana generators generate mana. Which against 4 bones and the Lich is perfectly fine with me. So I actually think this move is pretty good. I'm completely okay using the Artificer's side right now. Heals them up to full. Sounds good to me. Okay, here's exactly what I mean by Blades. So Blades cost 5. So notably, if I want to cast it twice, which would be hilarious and awesome, I would need 10 mana. Also, I'm not looking at this is important. I'm not looking at the fact that the Lich is petrifying the Dabbler right now. I almost snapped picked this because I wanted to cast Blade so badly, but no one's dying, so I don't have to worry about that. I could Poultice if I really needed to cleanse, but I would love for the Druid to just cleanse instead. That would be ideal. And I'm trying to call my shot here, Druid. Druid cleansing. Perfect. All right. Notably, other things that I could do is if I snipe this bones using these 2 attacks, orange is now no longer getting orange and gray are both taking 3 less damage, and 2 of the bones are just cleared out entirely. So that's pretty strong. Additionally, but if I take this, I don't get mana for Blades. I think I should just give up on Blades right now. I think I'm trying to get too fancy. Take this damage here, and then like I could still. So what I could do if I really wanted to is I could do 2 damage here, 2 damage here, Blades with this. Like I said, I think I'm trying too hard to force something when I don't need to. And yeah, I think I just reroll for cleanse and don't need to worry about it if I don't get it. Okay, so now I'm gonna be using the undo button a lot here because I'm not exactly sure how Bones math works. So like that did 1 damage here, but if I do this, does it actually do 2 damage to the Lich? So if it did 2 damage, it would bring you down to that. It does not. Okay. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud here. This is pretty good. Unfortunately, I couldn't stun. This is not ranged anyway. But if if there weren't these two skeletons, I could have technically stunned, and that would have been cool. The Lich, instead of having them do that, but no, the Bard can just like stun of bones. I cleared all the bones out this turn. Unfortunately, the Dabbler's losing like all of their offensive capabilities, but that's perfectly fine for next turn. Next turn is not super scary, and we have some mana banked. Although, notably, the Artificer is not going to generate any more mana, so it's all on the Druid now. If I wanted to do this, like any cleanse is going to be like purely on the Druid, so I have to keep that in mind. And this is kind of hilarious because they're just going to. Okay, I haven't seen that before. This is funny. I like this. They're actually just going to petrify the 3 sides that have nothing on it anyway. All right, all right. This keeps the Dabbler alive. Nothing else is really what I want. Like, I want cleanse here badly. I would like damage just to kill a skeleton, and if I roll the 4 damage, I can just kill this bones. So aggressive rerolling is fine by me. This is the mana side, so I can use this cleanse if I wanted to. Generate mana here. Oh, notably though. Wait, oh yeah, no, this is just 2 damage. Never mind. I could do something like this too. If I really felt like I wasn't in any danger of losing. So this is just a wasted turn by the Lich. I can just keep. Yeah, I'm gonna do this actually. As silly as that might sound, I mean, I think it's enough that the Lich is just can't win. Is in a situation where they can't win. Even though this is slightly more aggressive, I'm okay with how the Druid has never rolled cleanse yet. I'm okay pushing this fight a little bit faster because the Lich will just keep rolling this over and over until I cry myself to sleep. And this happens every time, so I'm not surprised. This is the 2 mana side. So if I keep this, I just get 2 more mana, which does like kind of nothing for me. And I'm okay with the Artificer just not having anything right now. I think I'm just going to re-roll all this. Because I was really looking for heavier damage. This is still the 2 mana side. Still don't really care about that. Oh, hey. Nice. Cleanse this, and I have a bunch of damage now. This is looking all but over. Cool. I'm very happy with this. Does this kill? Doesn't look like it, right? No. That does. All right. Cool. Clean fight. Very happy with that. Okay. Notably, Thimble would have removed pain from the Dancer's left side and given her 3 max HP, which is, or 3 max HP. So it's like relatively good there. But who knows? Ichor Chalice. Okay, so another thing. Thimble is good with Berserker by a lot. It also perfectly gives them 11 health, so they don't cross a 4 threshold, so they get all 3 of that health. More notably, though, is that no, there are not a lot of heroes that have pain on any of their sides. Forsaken has 1. Also lowest picked. Not saying that you can't pick Forsaken, but just keep that in mind. Barbarian has 1. Curator has 1. And I think that's it, right? Well, we skipped the Dancer, but the Dancer has 1. I don't think any pain on any of this. Yeah. So this is definitely going to be like a yellow hero kind of thing. And it's just going to allow me to pick these if I want. Other than that, I can literally just use it for 3 max HP. And 3 max HP is pretty strong. Like, if I'm not mistaken, there is an item 1 tier below where I'm at that's just 3 max HP. Oh no, 2. I guess it's 2 tiers below, but it's pretty darn good. Like, having good max HP just helps you. Maximizing the amount of health you start with just helps you have turns where you don't die on turn 1. So you can do so many more things and get so much faster of starts if you need, or just like I said, not die on turn 1, because there are many times where you're getting killed exactly on the nose, and just having 1 more hit point would have stopped that. Anyway, Ichor Chalice. 1 damage to the topmost enemy for each wasted point of healing you receive. Notably, we have a heal 10 single use. We have a heal 4 single use as well that we're guaranteed to have. And right now we have a Dabbler who heals 4. So those are relatively strong healing. Ichor Chalice's biggest synergy is with the Alchemist, who has a heal 20, which is nuts. You can heal 20 and hit the Hexia or a Dragon for an absolute ton. I mean, I'm also getting way far ahead of myself. We still have the floor 16 boss to kill. But notably, it's also really bad with like Forsaken. It's really bad with Mender because most of Mender's healing comes from hitting low health targets. It can kind of be okay with Witch because you can be healing the target that you want to heal and also cleaving the target that has the Ichor Chalice, so it's not too bad. And then with Shaman also has a heal 10. So there are plenty of combinations where this will actually do quite a lot of damage. Which is actually just an observation I'm kind of noticing right now for the first time. I always kind of just assumed it was the Alchemist only, but Shaman, Artificer, even like the Dabbler a little bit, are all pretty good with it. I'm not saying they're all incredible, but they're all pretty decent with it. I don't think there's any other like big healing item. Certainly Thimble is the safer pick. And I also have really been appreciating max HP recently. Ichor Chalice is like the more fun pick. Or if I was on hard, I might just snap pick Ichor Chalice for kicks. But we already have synergy with Ichor Chalice, and we're guaranteed to keep that synergy with Ichor Chalice for the rest of the game in Artificer. But then Artificer has to roll the heal and heal whoever has the Ichor Chalice, and you don't direct where that damage goes. So it's a little bit trickier. But honestly, this damage could be the difference between a Troll King kill or a Troll King death. But currently, right now, I think our damage is actually pretty good. Although, notably, this is not super strong against like a single target, and this is also pretty weak against single target. But I think we're okay taking Thimble. I like the 2 heroes that have pain that are yellow on the next tier, so I can look out for those. And if not, I just have a 3 max HP to whoever I want to give it to. So unfortunately, I'm going to take Thimble here, even though I'm so tempted to take this Ichor Chalice. So tempted. And I'll put it on the Berserker. I probably should have looked at items a little bit more thoroughly before just jumping into this fight, but I'm not perfect. Okay. So with the Bard keeping himself alive and me just being able to nuke damage here, I'm just going to reroll for mana early. Notably, we could have killed this imp with Ichor Chalice. So big misplay by me. I'm actually okay with just killing this imp right now. I think healing up the Dabbler is correct, even though the Berserker doesn't have pain anymore. But yeah, getting everyone to 5 is just decent for this. And now we have a repeat of the troll fight, except we're way, way stronger than what we were before. I'm okay with rerolling these. This is obviously absolutely huge for this fight. And then I guess I just rolled a whole bunch of block, so I'll just sit here. And like if no one's dying, I'm just gonna go for damage. And that looks like a clean win. Absolutely. Kind of style on them. Okay, now this is so you saw that mana generation just now, and how I was able to cast burst 3 times and then blades twice against a single target just for fun. Think about how strong casting a blades here and then 2 blades next turn is going to be. Like that kills the entire board, and this is one of the scariest fights in the game. So Artificer this is the strength of the Artificer, and this is why you take them. Notably, Dancer with like Berserker can do 4 damage. Dancer can swipe cleave. You can burst, then swipe, cleave, and you can do a ton of fancy stuff with this. But it's not as reliable. And like I said, we weren't guaranteed to get the pain remover. So, all right, yeah, let's take a look. All right, sharp shot. Sharp shot has 2 chances to miss. We do have a lot of right side replacers. Notably, sharp shot has the same issues that trapper does, but also is more polarizing. So what I mean by that is on this fight, this side is great. In my mind, this side is an AoE side. It works against a lot of enemies that don't have a lot of max HP. Against a boss, this is trash. This is a completely wasted roll, which means you have 3 rolls that do absolutely nothing against with the vast majority of turns against a boss. With the exception of both Troll King and Tarantus always have ads, and if the Troll King has a slate, this is hilariously good. But Troll King has to get a slate, which I believe is like a 50% or 60% or something like that. And you also have to roll this side. And since you have 2 chances to miss, aggressively re-rolling the sharp shot is super risky and could just lose you the game. So I do not like the sharp shot. If there's only one target, you can do 3 damage, 2 damage, and 3 damage, which isn't the worst. But there are definitely heroes that are much better overall than, especially in the orange category. So I'll likely not take sharp shots unless I have 2 right side replacers. And there are some good ones that do that, but in general, this seems a little weak. Paladin, on the other hand, in my mind, is very similar to sharp shot, but defensively. There's one side that's like super good. This cleanse, having a standard cleanse without having to use a spell is great. Paladin also, notably, has a mana side, so I can put the sparkly ring on the Paladin. Something to keep in mind, something to consider. It's not too bad. And this top and bottom heal are fantastic. But in general, if I'm looking to block, I do not want to see any of these 3 sides. This is not good. It can be good in this fight. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely. That's a huge plus for this fight in particular. And then 2 mana, if it was only 2 mana, is only very conditionally good. Luckily, we have an incredibly good spell. Well, 2, honestly, in my mind, 2 very good spells to use the mana with. So it's not so bad. But if we had a different combination of these 2, this would get so much worse. So I like the Paladin. I think the Paladin, these 3 sides are so good. They make up for the fact that this feels more like a 50-50. Or that, this feels like a 50-50 in what you want to roll. These just are insane. Whereas the sharp shot, 3 damage is not crazy. 3 damage is not crazy. 2, 4, or 6 damage is, I guess, okay, but it's also not that great, not crazy. You can't snipe snipers with this. You can snipe snipers with these. I guess that's like the biggest draw. But if you don't have a target under 5 health, like, this chance to miss is so heavy and so strong that it's so brutal with fewer rerolls. The one comparison I wanted to make with Paladin, and I'm thinking this out loud to myself because I want to explicitly say this, is Paladin versus Cleric is also super interesting. In my mind, well, Paladin's got +1 on these sides, and it has +2 on this side, +1 on this side, and a heavy hammer. I have lost so many times with Cleric recently that I'm like, I guess I'm still tilted. I'm trying to figure out why Cleric, generating 1 mana is, like I said, still conditionally very good. But if you only have 1 cleanse and if you pick Cleric for cleanse, and it's so hard to reroll this side specifically for the cleanse, knowing that you only have the 1 in 6 shot. Yeah, I guess I'll get off this tangent for a little bit, and I'll just try to focus on this. I think sharp shot is okay. I almost never pick them, but now talking out loud with their kit, I guess I can see the strength. But with Artificer, we don't really need this side. And if we have decent enough mana generation, we don't need any of these sides because Blades will just take care of whatever the sharp shot does. So I think Artificer is making sharp shot a little superfluous. Notably for this exact fight, being able to just snipe a goblin is huge. And for like the Troll King, if there's a slate, this is fantastic. But to be honest, against the Troll King, I would much rather have like a Ludus. Just anything that can consistently knock down the Troll King's health. Paladin is a little unpredictable in what you get, but they are very consistent in the value they provide. And they have this, so I will take the Paladin here. Goodbye, reroll, Bard friend. All right, and now we have an instant decline under all circumstances. It does not matter what these two items are, even though they're kind of trash. Actually, this is really good. I really like Bone Charm. But there's no way you can add 3 monsters to the hardest fight in the game with any sort of reliability. You have to kind of be a crazy person. You could also try to like guess how many of them would be reinforcements, and like maybe it's manageable because you're only adding just decline. Especially on unfair, like even on normal, these challenges are like mostly just bait to get you killed for really weak rewards. Um, and this in particular, since I'm going to rely on mana as like my strategy, or spells as my strategy to kill him, is like a super bait. So I don't even not even gonna consider it. All right, so give the paladin this extra health here, and the stun works perfectly fine for me. That gives them a 4th defensive option, makes them far nicer to reroll. And I don't feel like there are many like issues with this paladin's kit. So I actually like this pick here. And when the druid goes, I can give the sparkly ring to the paladin with no issues. So I'm very happy with this team. I like it. I think it's very strong. And now that I said that, we're going to lose. Okay, notably, this fight's super tough, so I'll talk out a lot. You want to be killing the goblins that are blocking. It's super, super, super obnoxious to have goblins alive that just sit there and block the whole time, because you're like heavily incentivized to not kill any goblin or anything, because then they can just cleave and just do like have like a 6 damage cleave side, and that's like impossible to block while shielded. But notably, the 3 shield isn't much. But these are like my 2 targets that I want to kill first. Even though the snake doing 2 damage to my artificer who's dying is scary, and I do need to keep them alive. If I keep this one shots a goblin, which is nice, and this keeps the artificer alive. And I would just like for these 2 characters, who are supposed to be my damage characters, to deal damage. That would be awesome. Ha! All right. Call them shots. All right, so I'm going to kill one of these right off the bat because they are notably horrible. Then I'm going to kill this goblin and just hope it doesn't kill this artificer. And then I'm good to go. And I could have cleansed the poison if I need to, but I would like to save as much mana as I can for blades if I even need to cast blades this fight. We've just done so much damage already. Also, note, artificer single target damage. If you think artificer is only good with AoE, just note that it one-shot a goblin, which is super necessary or useful in this fight. Notably, if I cast blades here, this is not going to be enough damage to kill, so I'm willing to risk missing for any of the other sides. Cool. And this fight's over. Cool. We got past one of the hardest fights. It is entirely possible that we run into this fight again, and when that happens, I'll be very sad. But for now, we are looking incredibly strong. This is kind of bonkers. All right, and I will let you ponder this for a little bit. I gotta take care of something real fast, and I'll be right back. All right, we're back again. Thanks for the patience. There's the tiniest chance I'll edit this out, but knowing me, no, there isn't. Okay, so we have two options: leaden handle and metal studs. Notably, we have exactly like one character that's really going to be focused on having shield sides, and honestly, adding +1 to these sides is great. It's super fancy, super nice. These sides are going to go away. It's very unlikely that we're going to have a better target. The only other one that I would have considered is maybe Weaver. So we don't have any problems there. Like taking it and putting it on the Paladin is perfectly fine. +1 is heavy to all damage sides. I do not like heavy, especially like in this fight. It's super bad. It's super bad in a lot of boss fights where you want to be sniping the ads first. Notably, it is very, very, very good at the Dancer. That was one of the few sides or a few items where it's super, super good with the Dancer. Getting the +1 on cantrips is perfectly fine. And having the cantrips always target the highest health is also not bad. And then adding +1 to that cleave is just insane. But this, with the team I have right now, it looks like a complete waste. And this looks great, so I'll take the metal studs. This is pretty good defense here. This healing one of these and then killing the one that's going for the druid is perfectly acceptable, and getting a quick poison on the spiker is also pretty decent. So I think we'll stick with that. Do that. Heal up. Note: take the spiky damage first, so you can heal it more with or heal more with this side. Small optimizations here and there. And then just let this poison tick on the spiker while we deal with everything else. Is this not defensive enough? It probably is, right? 3, 7, 10. I have 10 mana. I can just kill both imps. Yeah, I'm sure this is fine. If it wasn't so late in the run and if I wasn't talking so much, I would definitely have thought this through a little more. But whatever, we're good. Never punished. All right, we have let's see. Notably, this 6 damage will kill. I just need to block first, which this does. So does this. I say it will kill. I mean, yeah, it's fine enough. And then I can just do whatever with the Paladin. It just doesn't matter. Oops. Yeah, here's kind of the tricky. If only I could block one, which I can. I can do this. And then that, so the Berserker doesn't die, but also is still dying. And we have the Troll King with a Slate. Notably, the Sharp Shot potentially could have had a ton of value here. And notably, the Dabbler is not great here, although the Dabbler is very defensive. Paladin can also just stun lock the Slate with this. But I don't have a great game plan right now. I don't. Artificer getting poisoned on the Troll King early is nice. Berserker steady output damage is nice. But the thing that I've been doing for the fights in between bosses, which is just generate a ton of mana and cast a bazillion blades, is not going to work here. 2 damage against the Troll King is laughably bad, although sometimes it's necessary. And then 1 damage against the Slate for 5 mana is like such a waste. So let's see what we get. Okay, I'm very happy with both of these. Notably, okay, so Assassin is pretty strong for a tier 3 yellow. These sides, you have a high chance of getting a 2 damage range engage, so they can kill snipers, which is fine. I don't think they're the craziest enemy in the world that you need to have a tool for, but it's still strong. Poison damage, 3 damage. 3 poison damage is very good against every single boss, period. It's just strong. 3 damage cruel is also incredibly strong against any boss. Being able, like, once the Troll King gets here, doing 6 more damage on this side is insane. And then the ability to dodge all attacks this turn is fine. And they're just like what Caldera was, where once you use this wand, then you only have 4 things that you can even hit. So they're a little trickier to use, but they have a solid array of attacks, and some of them are incredibly strong single target, and there's some of them are decent with multiple targets. So they're good, more all around kind of character. I like them. I think they're pretty strong. Curator is also pretty decent. Curator has one of the same sides that the assassin has. Curator, or 2 of the same sides rather, that the assassin has. Additionally, they have no chance to miss, and they have no defense. However, this rampage side is really good AoE. I know some people don't necessarily agree, but there are many ways you can set up being able to have this just kill a whole bunch of targets. Notably, it's not that necessary with Artificer and the fact that we're generating so much mana. But this is also just a good tool. The grow side is okay for like slower fights. It's good, just consistent 3 damage output. 1 damage cantrip, kind of a meme. Not bad against the slate. And also, since this side is not a blank, you can re-roll the Curator completely freely and have no problems. And I like to look at it as like the worst case scenario is you either roll this, like, and then you want to re-roll, and then you roll this and you only get 2 damage, or you end with this and get 2 damage. Like, still having cases for 3 damage and 5 damage is great. And also, notably, the thing that I'm finally getting around to mentioning is that we have the Thimble. So it removes pain from this side, so the Curator can easily just smack people in the face for 5 with no repercussions, which turns out is really good. It's really good for hallway fights. It's really good for this fight. So now I'm kind of left thinking, okay, I think both of them are good. So notably, I said that we have we have fights with lots of enemies covered with the Artificer. So we want these top 2 characters to be really strong against single targets. Notably, these 2 are incredibly strong against single targets, and these don't really do anything. So this is unpredictable but very consistent damage. And then Curator is like the opposite. It is very predictable, but it is inconsistent damage. And now we kind of just have to figure out which one of these. Well, one, if we need strength right now, which I'm always scared of the Troll King, so I always think you need strength right now. Which one of these is better for this fight exactly? And then which one of these is going to be better for every fight in the future? The Assassin will obviously outperform the Curator if they roll poison early. I do have plenty of items that cover the right-hand side, so I don't need to worry about not wanting to aggressively reroll the Assassin. However, they can quote-unquote miss their damage even if I cover the right side, because any right side cover I have is a defensive skill. And the Assassin is also notably relatively weak against the Troll King right now. Conditionally, they're very strong. This is really good early. This is really good late. But these are like not great. So I'm really banking on rolling these 2 sides. I only also am saying that because I have picked the Assassin before, and I have lost a 2 streak with the Assassin against the Troll King. And they even had Poison Dip. So these sides were dealing poison damage too, and it still didn't work out for me. Curator, on the other hand, like I said, I like their predictability and the fact that they're always going to be doing damage. So I think there's a lot to say about that, especially because they have 2 of the same sides as the Assassin. That's still more consistent damage. However, the Curator is going over the Berserker, who in my mind has super consistent damage, and the Assassin's going over the Dabbler, who in my mind has less consistent damage than needed. So I'm probably going to take the Assassin here. I have seen the Dancer and the Assassin and the Sharp Shot. So if I don't take them, I'm offered either Venom, Ludus, or Fencer. Fencer's kind of weak, but not bad against Hexia. Just being able to never take reflect damage and constantly pecking away with 3 damage is pretty good. Ludus is good and has a lot of synergies with a lot of items, but also is notably kind of bad against Hexia. And Venom is just like Assassin, but 10 times better for boss killing. And also has Cleanse. And I'm talking this much just because I have no idea which one I actually think is better. I know a lot of people don't like Curator, but I genuinely think Curator is a very good hero. And I'm not positive. Like, I think Curator is better than the Assassin here. But I also don't think that the Berserker is like upgrading. I'm not sure if the upgrade from Berserker to Curator is going to be better than the upgrade from Assassin or Dabbler to Assassin. Um, I guess I think if I want to play to maximize my win rate, I should go with the Assassin. I think even though it burned me last time and it hurt really bad, and the Assassin has no good tools against the Slate or the Troll King, that maybe they're just better for the 3 poison damage on their own. No, that can't be right, can it? Because if you hit that 3 poison, that's huge, no matter what, against any of those fights. But if you don't, the Assassin's damage output's almost the same as the Dabbler. Kind of. I know I'm being very I'm exaggerating a bit here, but man, Assassin output damage is so low overall. Whereas like I feel like you're almost guaranteed to get like this feels like you're getting 2. This feels like you're getting at least 3. And I just love the predictability that the Curator will always roll damage. But man, it's tough losing the Berserker. All right, I picked Artificer, and I normally don't. I will pick Assassin. You know, I think they're good. This fight just scares me. All right, let's pick the Assassin and see what happens. So this can go on either the Artificer or the Assassin. The Assassin has this side, although they're more likely to aggressively reroll. I have good poison. I want to go for the. Oh yeah, thank you for reminding me myself. I want to put this here because I want to very aggressively reroll the Assassin. And you guys can call me out on it when I roll like this and just keep it immediately, which I'm very likely to do because I'm weak. Man, I don't think there's any other thing that I can switch that I want to. All right. Well, let's try this out and see what happens, I guess. Okay. All right, terrifying. Not terrifying in the slightest anymore. And just high roll every time. Consistent theme of the videos that I upload. Apparently, you just need to high roll. I'm very tempted to keep this. Just pushing as much damage as I can as fast as I can on the Troll King is probably better than trying to get a 1 in 6 for the poison or a 1 in 3 for what I have before, because these mana sides aren't really going to do much, and this is just actually a waste. Paladin hits the slate, Druid stays alive, have some mana generation, have really good damage, and Berserker just needs to not miss again. I tried. Yeah, so I'm definitely going for the Troll King here. I'm just going to keep the slate occupied. All right, so we have a ton of mana generation right now. If I keep this, notably, I can do this twice. Okay, I can't kill this lead. Darn. Do I kill? So hold on. Paladin just... First things first, I should check for what I need to kill the Troll King. I need 12 damage, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and I absolutely have 2 bursts. So 3, 2, 1, 0. We'll kill the Troll King, which is absolutely what I want. Do I think it's worth it to try to reroll anything to keep the Artificer alive? No. This is one of those you should make any sacrifice you need to make to have this done. So let's just double count. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 damage. So yeah, I can easily kill the Troll King here. So I'm just going to keep this roll. Yeah, I need both that damage. So what I'm tempted to do right now is I was tempted to like do this to get that one extra damage on the slate, but then I still have to do this anyway. So it's the same as if I cast it before. Whereas like I could instead of doing that I could just cast Blades to kill. This gives me more mana right now and damages the slate, and it just doesn't heal each of these for one, which honestly I just don't think I need. So this hits once. This can keep that alive and also hit once. I might as well roll the assassin here. And that wasn't enough to kill, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. We made it out of the Troll King fight. I've been terrified of every single one of these bosses, and so far they have gone swiftly. Okay. This fight, notably, before I even look at hero choices, I want to spam mana. I want to just cast Blades twice, and the entire fight will just die. That is my game plan. So I'm thinking that even before I look at what heroes I have available to me. It is likely that if I get an upgrade to the red, which I'm always going to be offered an upgrade to the red, if I do take that, my mana generation will go down significantly. So I do have to keep that in mind too. Oh wait, this is an item. Never mind. Ignore every single thing that I just said. Okay. Gauntlet. Add 1 to all damage sides. Notably, 1 more damage on engage, 1 more damage on cruel, 1 more damage on poison. Kind of nutty here. 1 damage on all these, not so great. This does double if you're dying, but not huge. Oh, +1 damage on this heavy set. No, okay. And then +1 damage on this growth. Joke, not needed. Sharp Whip. Replace all mana sides with damage sides. Triple their original value. So a kind of fancy thing about this is that this says 4. 4 times 3 is 12. So the Artificer goes from generating a bunch of mana to having 2 12 damage single target sides. Turns out that's pretty good. It's notably much worse against Hexia than it is Dragon. It's incredible against the Dragon. But it also takes away from your ability to have like a really good this side. I think the Gauntlet's definitely just the safer play. Sharpwood is super nice, especially with expensive spells. But with Artificer and with like my current, like I wouldn't even equip it this round, no matter what, because I want to do mana. But this would be, I would be picking this for boss fights, and I have to ask myself if I think I'm weak with boss fights, and I have poison, and relatively good survivability. So at this moment, I don't. So I'm gonna go with the Gauntlet since it works so well on the Assassin, and just go from there. I could be convinced either way, but I'm gonna go with Gauntlet. So now I don't necessarily need to aggressively reroll, so I don't need to have this here anymore. But it's either that or put it on the Berserker, and the Berserker doesn't even have pain at this point. So I might as well put it here for the wand to just increase your chances of hitting. Okay, definitely want this. This is good. That's good. Notably, I say both of these are good, but I also should make sure that the 2 characters that are dying, yellow and gray, can be saved if you do this attack. Which the answer currently is no, I can't. I can save gray, and then yellow is still even if I kill this spider, they're still taking too much damage. So I do need this side, and I'm completely okay taking it. But I would like to reroll the druid for mana, and the druid can't really miss anyway, so I'm more than okay with getting rid of poison, getting rid of that, healing Berserker, doing this, and then maybe casting this. If I do that, everything gets put into Blade's range, and this kind of keeps the druid off of death, or off of basically guaranteed dying from poison next turn. So yeah, let's do that. Let's see how that works out. I'm not sure if that's correct, but it feels decent. I could have saved the mana and then just tried to Blades next turn, but notably, it's not going to kill anything extra, so... And yeah, this is exactly how I expected this turn to look. 4 mana gen is fine. This is just anything, so I'll take it. I really would like something else other than this. Paladin can't miss. So I'm tempted to reroll just to maybe try to get the mana to just cast Blades and win. I think that's actually smarter to do. Yeah, let's go. See what happens. All right. There, that's that. This goes here. Ow. That assassin is getting destroyed. And I can't save any... Oh, wait. I can't save that with that. So, get a red, and now the assassin's still down. Darn. Do I have any higher damage play? Or, actually, wait. Do I have a lower damage play that uses my mana? Oh, no, okay. This poisons it. Not useful. Notably, I would have wished either one of them rolled mana. That super sad. I can't burst. I can if I do that, that's even worse. I mean, I have to just have the one character bite the dust, right? Yeah, because I can do this, and the assassin's just gone. No problem. Losing on that one character hero isn't so bad, especially with just what used to be a team that felt like they just generated nothing but mana, not rolling mana. It was fine. It's not too bad. All right, this fight also is not. Oh, jeez. So this fight also, I kind of want to have the same game plan. I want to have Blades will take out a lot of this and just deal extra damage here. Interesting choice. Brawler and Forsaken. So Brawler is not too bad. They're good if you have items that have shields, which notably we do not. They're also pretty darn good with the Gauntlet if you're going to go for a rampage strategy, which we do not need to do necessarily because of our mana generation. And they have decent health and they can stun. So their kit is all right. It's a good split between the two types of damage, but unfortunately, they're very polar opposites. And if you don't have any block, this is the exact same damage as the warrior, which is terrifying. And it's also really bad. So like the paladin would have to do this and hit the brawler, and then the brawler can do 5 damage while also being blocked, which I guess is okay. Yeah, so it's a little tricky. This one's a little tricky. Forsaken, on the other hand, is often considered the worst red, or just even the second to worst hero in the entire game. Their kit's really weird. They're the healer class, but they only really have one thing that's actually a heal, which is this. Technically, this is a heal, and we can remove the pain with Thimble. Ooh. And so they have like good splash healing, which is all right. This side is literally the exact same as the vampires. It's kind of weak at this point in the game, but it's acceptable. And then they have two mana generators, which I guess is really good value for the sparkly ring. But I don't think that I should take it just for that reason alone. And then revive side, which is a really tough sell. A character needs to be dead, and if you revive them the same turn that they die, if they like hit a spiky character, they're still going to get targeted. Otherwise, the character has to be dead. Then you have to roll specifically the revive side, which honestly, with double poison, is definitely a consideration. An easy way to beat the dragon is to just poison it and then just stall as long as humanly possible. And I have won many dragon fights that way. And then their spell is also kind of weird. You become immune to all damage this turn, but you lose 4 max HP to do it. Which, I mean, like, if the assassin's going to get hit by the claw, I can just cast this and just be done, and I'm fine. Also, this helps stall if I have the mana for it. Dragon fights, things like that. But the healing is kind of weak. There also is notably no cleanse. I know Shaman is like crazy good with cleanses. The Witch has cleanse with AoE splash heal, but We're not guaranteed to see them because we could technically see Mender, Alchemist because we haven't seen any other red heroes yet. I believe, and neither of them are really great either. So in theory, I'm not even if I try to hold out for one of these two, I'm not even guaranteed to see it right now. Also, you notice the witch's hat goes in front of the border. I didn't notice that. Does any other hero do that? I'm not gonna get distracted. I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna focus. Also, notably with the brawler, if we've seen brawler and curator, so barbarian is pretty good. It has the undying side, which does what Forsaken does, and this leader is pretty good. We don't have any. We have the damage buffer, so this is actually can be a 15 damage side if it's rolled. If you give the gauntlets to the leader, which is pretty darn good, and then the veteran, which is also just like super stat tank, super strong, super good with basically everything. So we're guaranteed to see a really good yellow. We're not guaranteed to see what I would consider to be a really good red. Um, but I also don't know. It's tough. It's tough to. I don't think either of these picks are good. This is definitely the first time this run where I think both picks are actually genuinely pretty bad. Forsaken seems stronger right now. I don't want to lose the Berserker and their consistent damage, and I don't want. I already have Artificer, so in my mind, Brawler's strength gets just destroyed here because they're strongest when they can just be rampaging. And notably, I don't really feel like I have a ton of shields that I can give to have the Brawler's single target damage be significantly better than the Berserkers. In any case. And additionally, like if I don't shield the Brawler at all, the Brawler's damage is zero. It's so bad. I definitely do not want to put Gauntlet on the Brawler unless I want to try to do the cleave shenanigans. And I would much rather have that on any other side. But additionally, so I also don't have any really super strong synergy with Forsaken or any of the other tier 3 reds. Notably, not having Cleanse is super scary. But I can use this to help stall, and I can revive if they die. I know for a fact that I will get a yellow that I view very highly. So let me take a look at the yellows again, because one of the things that I'm still most concerned about now is boss killing. So veteran is pretty good at killing bosses, although they're conditional. Like they're still pretty good. Leader, I really like a lot in this case for the fact that I can cover this right side easily. And with gauntlets, this just becomes straight up 15 damage if I want it to be 15 damage. Or if I hit with every hero. I think that synergy is great, and I don't think you should undervalue it. And the Barbarian has a whole bunch of health, has decent damage, and won't hit themselves with the thing because we have Thimble, and can stop someone or gain someone from dying. I really like all three of these. I'm not so sure the Barbarian's single target damage is going to be significantly better than the Brawler. I could be convinced either way, and it's totally situational. It's totally based on how much you need to block with the Brawler and how often the Brawler actually just rolls these sides. But the other two, I think, unquestionably are going to average more damage. And maybe, who knows, maybe I don't even need crazy single target damage. But I'm really only doing this because I'm trying to do mental gymnastics to convince myself not to take Forsaken. Like I said, Forsaken is generally considered really weak. However, the person who has the highest streak on Standard Unfair likes Forsaken. Also, so do all the memers on the forums. So there's definitely something to consider with Forsaken. Sparkly Ring on the top and bottom sides is not something to scoff at, but there's no other real synergy with Forsaken or any other thing that I would want to put on there. This choice feels bad. And I'm like 3 for 3 on picking things that I might not necessarily pick. Although, yeah. Rather, 2 for 2. So I honestly think Forsaken is the right pick here. Just because I have no other shielding things. And even though these shields are strong, it's just too, in my mind, it's too conditional. You have to hit this 1 and 3, and you have to be needing to block the Brawler. So I'm going to take the Forsaken. And as I said a million times this round, let's see how this goes. Definitely Forsaken gets the Sparkly Ring here. I guess I'll also put Pulses on Forsaken so that I can maximize covering up spaces. And notice not a single character has any way they can miss right now. I mean, obviously single target, but that's super useful when you have fewer rerolls. And then I just got to make sure I don't want the gauntlets on like here. 4 damage is really good on these, and I don't think I'm going to need any more. 4 damage plus 3 will kill a Ka because the assassin can do 3 damage here. Or 6. Okay, no, I think I'm fine. I think this is all fine. So let's. All right, let's go. All right, thinking time. Artificer's getting hit by the Colin Imp. Notably, the assassin can snipe this Ka, bringing the Artificer down to only a +1, so any 2 shields would stop it, which Paladin has plenty of chances to do that, and Paladin can even stun the Ka if need be. This only being 3 damage kind of incentivizes me to reroll it. I would like to be able to snipe an Imp. A lot. I very much would like to be able to snipe an Imp right now. Do I feel that I should keep this 2 mana? Forsaken can have 2 hits on a 3 mana, and Artificer has 2 hits on 4 mana. And if I keep the 2 mana, I'm guaranteed to cast a Blades, which doesn't actually do anything right now for me. It helps this finish that out. I don't even need to cast Blades at all. The only way I would cast a Blades is if I thought I could snipe this Ka, which I don't. So I should reroll this. And I don't think any of these are any good. I mean, I can convince myself to keep this. I won't be super sad if I roll defense here, but maybe I should think this through real quick. So Assassin kills the Ka. The Basilisk is just going to weaken these 3. There's nothing I can do about it. Can't have the Artificer die early. So if I do this 3 damage, what am I looking to do? I'm looking to kill, I guess, this Imp. Which, if I keep this, I guess I can. Or I can burst it if I got or hit with this. I think it's just too risky to not take this. So let me just reroll these 3 sides. All right. I am more than okay with a lot of this. Actually, do I want to just cleanse this and kill that? Stop summonings from happening. I like to put damage on the Ka here because next turn they move forward anyway again, and that just makes them super easy to kill. And yeah, everyone's alive, so I like this line a lot. So I'm gonna keep this. What is that? 2 damage. Yeah. This is 5. Sniped anything. Super good. Oh yeah, I was say why is that 2 mana? But no, I know why that's 2 mana. I need to kill this Ka, and I'm going to kill this Ka with this. So I don't need to worry about any of that. I would like to kill this Imp. Oh yeah, this is 2 damage because everything's weakened. Okay. And I just don't want this side. Alright. Wow, these are all very nice. I could do like that. Sure. Why not? Alright. Fight went pretty clean. Alright, level 19. Same plan as every time there are more than 4 enemies. Go for mana. Go for blades. Alright. Now we have an interesting choice here. Well, not interesting in the slightest. Because it's very obvious. Actually, no, it's not. Let me talk this through. Splitting arrows. Add cleave to all range sides. Notably, we do have 3 damage range, and we can leave it as 2 damage because we can give the gauntlet to whichever yellow we get. If we wanted to keep this for some reason, which notably is really good against Hexia. Like, even if you don't have +1 damage, if you cleave with this, you just kill imps. If you have this cleave, you can snipe the archer that's in the dragon fight, or any archers that would be in the dragon fight, because I know it's not always the dragon caught an archer. It can be more. But you obviously still have to roll this 1 and 3 in particular. And it can be boosted to get +1 damage here, which is pretty good. It's also great for this fight too. Like, I shouldn't write off this fight, even though I'm kind of mentally doing that already. And then we have Charged Hammer. Replace the 2 left sides with 10 damage, heavy, and blank. Forsaken could easily have this. This is probably Forsaken's weakest side, although I can be convinced that it's not, especially if I grab a yellow that doesn't. If I grab the non-berserker, I can easily just put this here, and that's not bad. It's not strong, but it's not bad. So I could put that here. Against the dragon, this would be crazy. Against Hexia, this is horrible, miserable, awful, and probably the worst thing in the universe. Because you want to just play Hexia slow. You don't need to rush it. You don't need to try to smack Hexia in the face for 10. And since those two fights are so polar opposite from each other, and it's like a complete 50-50 whether or not this is good, I cannot take the Charged Hammer here. And so I'll take the Splitting Arrows, because it works super well with the Assassin. And I don't need the +1 damage for this fight. So I can do like this, just to have slightly more consistency on killing these, and just leave this off. I don't need this for this fight. Fine by me. Looks good. Hey, what do you know? That thing I was saying. And this is great too, because I can just now more aggressively reroll. Although in theory, I really want mana here. One Blades isn't going to do anything for me. So let's just no, I'll keep this. I wanted to. No, if everyone's alive, I should reroll this. I should reroll it for cleanse. I should reroll it for possible, like any of this kind of shenanigans. Oh wait, not everyone's alive. Hold on. Yep, that said +2. I'm not very smart. Okay. Clearing out the poison is fine. Clearing out more poison, I guess, is fine. Whatever, good enough. And then if the Artificer rolls 4 mana, the fight's just over. And if the Assassin rolls any of the cleave range sides that still kills 3, we're not putting them out of kill range because we engage. Speak of the devil. All right. So does this kill all of them? This kills 3, that kills 4, that kills 5, that kills 6. Yep. All right. Dragon with 2 archers. Notably, since there's 2 archers and not a Ka, and it's the dragon fight, 1, the Charged Hammer would have been probably better than what I picked. But also, I can cleave hit all 3 of these at the same time with this and be completely fine. And I think that's absolutely something to keep in mind. So now I'm left with another choice where I'm going to take a break. I'm going to refill my water for the 3rd time, and I will be back thinking about this, and I'll explain my thoughts once I get back. So I'll be back in a second. All right, I'm back for the final decision of this run. Who do I think is going to do a better job against the dragon? The barbarian or the leader? So, first off, just looking at them in a vacuum, barbarian has 4 damage sides, one of them being relatively strong, but comes with a risk, which we can mitigate. And then basically 3 damage sides. So if you want to look at, I'm going to look at these archers as either dead or alive with no in between. They're not going to be damaged. So this bloodlust is only going to ever be +1. It's going to be with the dragon. So odds are this will be 3 damage, 3 damage, 3 damage, and then 6. So I don't know exactly what that averages to. I'm not going to do the math either. And then in my mind, the shining aspect of the barbarian is also this undying, where they can just basically, no matter how much, like this dragon has a 15 damage heavy side. It's pretty hard to block, although Paladin's pretty good at it. But just being able to say one character can't die this round is pretty useful. Whereas the leader is a lot more dynamic, but they're also very, very different. And in my mind, they have low consistency. What you get out of the leader is wildly different. Odds are, if I take the leader, I will want to put the gauntlet on them. Simply because I find it so valuable to get +1 to this that it's insane. Basically what happens is if I roll this, I just cast a blaze for free on the dragon. With no, I mean, that's how I look at it. It's like a free blaze that you can customize and use other characters with too. It's just nutty. 4 damage is not bad. It's more damage than what the barbarian would be rolling here. Now this side is the toughest one for me, definitely. And these last 2 sides are definitely the ones that we should look at. What characters we have and why for these. So this is +2 to all damage and shield sides this turn, which 2 to shield sides here is not bad, but odds are this is so strong already that you're not going to need +2 to these sides. And this, you mostly have this for cleansing. You're not going to need any of that. +2 to a damage side here is a huge, huge joke. +2 to damage sides here, you're not really going to need. This, though, and this are obviously the super prime targets. You really want that. But they're so inconsistently going to roll this. And then you also have to inconsistently roll exactly this, that it's so weak. However, target hero can use the dice again. Let's see if there's any, like, being able to double use the paladin is super nice. I think that's very good. Being able to double generate mana is nice. Completely worthless with artificer. There's literally no way that the leader artificer would ever work. And then also, if you roll poison damage on the assassin, it's pretty bad too. The only thing that is actually pretty good on with the assassin is this side right here. You don't need to double engage. You can't double poison. So this side right here is like just do 6 damage a second time if you roll it. It has decent versatility. Also, it's not terrible with Forsaken for heal 4 to all. It's not the greatest either. And it's also, in theory, a way to come back if the dragon just starts going crazy and killing your characters without any way to defend it. I think overall the leader has more total value. There's also like no items that I think go well with either of them. In theory, this on the barbarian. If I do this on the barbarian and that on the barbarian, I bring the barbarian's total health to 16, which will start with like 12 only. But this is starting with 9, so you're still going up 3 health. But you're never going to be able to stun the dragon. Like if there was a caw here, that would be good. But you're not stunning the dragon because by the time the dragon gets low enough to stun, you're not gonna have 16 hit points. Because what, the Forsaken's gonna heal you? I doubt it. I mean, Paladin maybe could. So that's a little. No, I don't think looking at my items is actually going to be worth. Like my items are not going to tip the scales. The only thing that could tip the scales is Gauntlet on the leader, and I think against the dragon, just saying, "Hey, here's 15 damage" is super useful. I also think saying, "Hey, this character can't die" is super useful. And other than that, these characters are like a wash. So I'm gonna go with my gut, and I'm gonna pick the leader because I already have a kind of Undying with Forsaken, I guess. And Paladin's really good blocking. So we shall see how all this works out, I guess. Let's go with leader. Last decision of the game. One to all damage sides. Rub the side for good luck. Just 3 damage duplicate. Come on, help me out. I can put Pain here on the Forsaken. I can put the Cleanse spellbook on the leader because they have the most health. Then I can't put this anywhere, but I guess don't. Well, how about this? I can do that too. Since this is like my big mana generator. Oh my goodness, this puts Forsaken as okay. This puts Forsaken as the target if the dragon rolls heavy damage. So that's also kind of scary. I also kind of don't want that, but I'm not going to fidget with items any more than this. This looks good. This looks clean. I'm okay with any of these, but I still want poison early. And I guess good luck. Notably, this turn 1 is incredible. I'm super, super, super thankful no one's dying right off the bat. I don't have to worry about spam cleanse. Both of those things scare me a bunch. And yeah, I just don't have to worry about it. Notably, mana generation here isn't really that great. I mean, the assassin's already doing what blades would be doing. And right now, losing 4 max HP to block 5 for 4 mana isn't really that great, especially when the paladin can just stop all of it anyway. Okay, so notably this kill, so I'm taking 2 less damage here and 2 less damage here, so everyone's just alive to start. So I pretty much just want to push damage. Is it worth it to have the Forsaken try to heal instead of generate mana, since I don't value mana generation too much right now? Because I just don't need it for anything. I would be like bursting or something. Actually, if that's the case, I should reroll both of these because everyone's alive anyway. And well, archers are dead, so I don't need to cast blades. So yeah, I should just be looking for damage, right? This is 4 damage if I put it on the assassin, on the dragon. But this is 4 damage, that's 4 damage, this is way more damage, and this is like a ton of block. So I think I'm just going to reroll the leader too, although there's merit to keeping it. Sure. Okay. So the dragon fight is notoriously fast. So there are 2 things I'm considering. I'm considering bursting to get rid of this force shield to be able to do as much damage as possible. And I'm considering using this heal 10 like right now. I think trying to get max value out of it is tough. So the dragon, notably, can do 5 damage to everyone, 15 damage to the highest, which is going to be the artificer, definitely, or 3 damage poison. And all of that kind of is rough. If I do the paladin's guaranteed to get hit by all of them. If I hit the paladin and the dragon uses fireball again, I'm still just getting hit. So if I hit the Forsaken, it puts the Forsaken out of the dragon's fireball range. And these 3 are all just getting hit anyway still. I can also take the leader out of fireball range, which I also think there's merit to. So I think I'll do this. I think this is okay. And I guess we just have to see what... I don't know, see what they roll next. And okay. Oh, wait, that also doesn't put it out of range. I can't do basic math. So this is really good. This keeps the leader and the Forsaken out of death range. This is notably terrible right now. This is unnecessary, but I'll take the extra damage. This is definitely the more conservative play, but I'm also trying to stall against the dragon, which I don't like. I do really want to hit this side very quickly. And this side's great, but I would also like to maybe let this be duplicated. Okay, this is definitely a thinky turn. Um, All right. Let's, with Forsaken and the leader still being alive, the Forsaken then can resurrect, technically speaking, and that's fine. This right here is terrible. I'm absolutely rerolling this side because it doesn't let me cast a single spell, and I have technically, a 50-50 chance of getting 5 to 8 block. This right here is 3 damage if just the leader alone rolls it. The problem with the leader's d6 here is that this is only damage in shield sides. So if I roll that, I potentially have nothing to roll it on. So I have a complete miss. Wand is good here. This is just slightly more damage, and this would actually just let almost everyone stay alive. So I think this is worth it to reroll too. And I just think that if I'm not getting damage with the assassin, I'm just going to lose. Maybe I'm wrong, because what I can do is I can take the Forsaken, heal everybody, keeps these 2 alive, and then I can do this to keep the paladin alive. But then the assassin just dies, and that's like a lot of my damage. So I don't like that play. So let's just reroll. Oh, goody. Okay. So there's that and this, which is notably great. So at least we're stalling against the dragon. I'm not sure how good that is, but I would love for the dragon to just start spamming this. Can I call shots for the dragon? I would love for the dragon to just get really bitey and just start to bite a lot. Let's see. Okay, this is notably not that at all. This is notably very good, because dying by 5, and this is 8. Nothing's really good here, and I still really want poison on these, so I guess I will reroll this. Oh my goodness, this happens to me all the time. Come on. Oh, this is painful. This is why I don't like stalling against the dragon, but let's see what happens. I keep saying that. You can tell how tired I am because of this. This is really good. Keeps people alive. This is pushing damage, but I don't need it. I would love a revive or a cleanse or something. Well, I can't get the cleanse, really. But unfortunately, I think I have to keep the Forsaken alive because I have to try to roll this. I don't think I have any other winning move. Yikes. Right? And if that's the case, well, yeah, I guess if that's the case, I mean, this still is good for the assassin a little bit, right? Because if I'm keeping the Forsaken, and the Forsaken also won't die immediately next turn, although I think every attack except for the heavy one will kill. And I guess now I just try to go with the poison stalling strategy, right? And reviving characters slowly. Unfortunately, this is looking like a loss. I know I shouldn't have said that out loud, but come on, revive. Dang. So yeah, that is a very long run that comes to a very sad conclusion, because the assassin's just going to die anyway. Yeah, I guess maybe the thing that we could have done is push the dragon. His damage a little bit harder, a little bit faster. Maybe keeping that leader side early was worth it, and just constantly doing a ton of damage and ignoring virtually everything else. But yeah, I tried to play it a little bit slower. Got a couple of really, really unlucky poison rolls in the middle, and unfortunately, well, not surprisingly, Forsaken just didn't roll res when I needed res and didn't really have a strong enough impact early. So anyway, yeah, there you go. That is a standard unfair loss. Unfortunately, that does end. This is a very long run. Sorry about that. But yeah, unfortunately, super clean until the dragon and then just immediately gibbed. Yeah, not a lot. I mean, pretty good. Pretty good run overall, honestly. But unfortunate loss. That's like kind of my problem with the assassin is just like how dependent I was on rolling poison for single target damage. I just didn't get it. But I also don't think if I took like the brawler and then maybe stalled and I could have had maybe the venom would have saved me too. So there's a little bit of merit to like thinking about that kind of stuff too. But if I took the venom, I also would have had to just re-roll this. So who knows? Yeah, that puts unfortunately a death to the dragon as the end of a 3 streak. And this was floor 19 too, so that's a little brutal. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.